Hi everyone, it's the Trash Crew, and we're doing Star Trek Iskandar, and I hope you're having just a splendid time. We are going to have some fights, or one fight, which might turn into multiple fights depending on how it goes. So remember, helps and hinders are a thing. But before we go into that, let's do a quick recap of last session. Anyone want to chip in?
No, I'm not in charge. I don't have to.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try. The problem with me recapping is I can never quite remember what I've already done and what's planned for this session. So I might end up giving something away. But here's the recap. Athan's a secret Romulan. The recap is Athan is on the station and she's learned that the junior aide who'd been helping her investigate Jaresh-Inyo's bizarre change of heart has been, to all intents and purposes, dismissed. And she's learnt that Jaresh-Inyo had received or issued a private communication, between expressing an opinion in favour of the continuing committee and then a more public opinion in favour of the provisional protectorate. And Captain Foster is off confirming that this device exists so that Athan can potentially use the dark arts of bluffing to see what Jaresh-Inyo's doing. The Iskandar fought off a Romulan warbird temporarily. What's Lashar doing at the moment? What's her current thing? Oh no!
Unbelievably, it's not being thrown in the brig.
No, she's not in the brig. You rescued Captain Redan of the Berenike, who confirmed a version of Lashar's story, but not the most recent version of Lashar's story. Captain Redan told you that they were investigating, in the course of investigating these anomalous signals, they moved in inadvisably close to the source of the signals, got themselves caught on the Gravitic Shoal, at which point a Romulan ship attacked them, boarded, and killed almost all of the Berenike's crew. And you found Redan in the process of a botched self-induced coma to try to preserve the life of the Redan symbiote. Lashar has come under suspicion, but I think that just describes her entire life up to this point. She is not in the brig. She's confined to... Oh, she's not confined to quarters, because just as she and Talandra were discussing the merits of letting her go about her merry way, the Iskandar was fired upon, which is by way of a dramatic warning shot. It doesn't do any damage, but it establishes that a fight's happening. So we'll go straight into that. Talandra, you stalk out of the ready room, and you receive all the reports. The Romulan warbird, it appears to be the same one, has returned and is firing upon the Iskandar. It's done some inconsequential wearing to the shields, but fortunately you were preparing for it to come back, so you've sort of been keeping an eye on things and making sure ahead of time that you're in a space relatively clear of gravitic anomalies. So Captain Talandra, your orders.
Just for my record, everyone's on the bridge who's on the bridge, right? I don't need to faff about
it. Tactical, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and Talandra, I assume you occupy the flight controls as you suggested that you would.
Yeah. Talandra strides forward. Helmsley makes room for the captain. How did that
jettisoned
natter with Kantos about stuff in that original series?
So Izzy, you are in command, so you get to decide the ship resource priorities.
Superb. Is there a list?
She's about to ask me how to do that.
I have just relinked it on the Discord for you.
Thank you.
I will also put it in the Facebook chat because I am multi-something.
Yeah, multi-something.
Mm-hmm. Occam's razor. Iskandar chats. Ooh. Are we still caught in a shoal? Yeah.
Yep.
Superb. How do I do it?
You can put those things into the things. You know, you have the skills that can be boosted, yeah?
Yep.
And you put those into your priorities.
Okay. Just reading quickly and understanding what I've read is difficult for me, so I was hoping you'd say it in a more comprehensive fashion, but I will do my best. Therefore, I'm gonna put so it's 1 to 8. Gonna put pilot evasion.
No, it's really not. You see the table above where it says top, high, and enhanced, and you see that each of those has the same.
Oh, I see. Oh, I get you. Yeah,
it's like a character sheet, but for the show.
Yeah. We can between rounds muddle those around for whatever the situation might need.
Yeah, I remember that. I just didn't know what was the bit that I could edit.
Cool. You can edit the whole thing. I've restored the Iskandar's fate pool to 3. You set the priorities now for free, and it'll cost you a fate point to reset the priorities during combat if you like to. You do that when you give your orders at the top of a round.
And personal fate points replenish every session, don't they?
Yes.
Or is it every plot line?
I'm going to say session.
We've gone by session.
Cool.
In the past.
Because they're an out-of-character resource, really, aren't they? So.
And
give
also,
my boy
if
his
he
3.
wants to dick us over in some way, then he can give us more fate points.
Yes.
Very well. Then I am doing a tiny bit of shuffling. The top rank thing will be pilot evasion. Because yes, please. The second rank thing will be phases and pilot attack. And then the bottom row, ops, medicine, science, engineering.
Okay, great. And that's ops sensors.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. So they've sort of fired a warning shot. You come onto the bridge. The Romulans very politely have given you time to do important plot stuff like assume command and assess the situation. And it is your action. It's the Iskandar's round.
So who do we start with?
Well, we start with you. As the commanding officer, you have to give an order. Essentially, it's not really much more advanced than whether you are on the offensive or taking evasive maneuvers. And then everyone with a station, including you on helm, will choose to interpret those orders according to their abilities.
So while we will be performing evasive maneuvers as is standard, I assume that we get to roll that even if we're on the attack, correct?
So if you are making an attack, your evasive maneuver, I'm applying penalties to your evasion, and if you're taking evasive maneuvers, I'm applying penalties to your attacks.
Very well. In which case, Talandra will take the piloting console. She will
helps and hinders. I've got helps and hinders flying in. Fantastic. Thanks,
lovely.
Guys.
She will continue with Helmsley's evasive maneuvers that he'll obviously have gone into upon being attacked, but will command Lieutenant Vance to respond with an appropriate attack pattern, put the ship into red alert, and at least initially engage in a violent retaliation to their attack. This is assuming that the reports we've received have been things like they came from nowhere, they fired on us, it's the same ship, not responding to hails, you know.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at ship combat. I can't describe it very quickly.
I think what you're saying is you're going on the attack. I believe that's the answer that you're giving me.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. So, you can essentially take your turns because the next phase is building your advantages. You can do those in any order because it all kind of happens at once. So, whoever wants to roll to create advantages may do so.
Well, I imagine it would do us all some good to do so.
Okay, let's start with the helm then. And you're doing attack, so you get the +2 bonus from high priority.
+3.
+3 would be evasion, I believe.
Oh yeah. No, I made that decision.
That's right.
So that's a +6.
That is a 6. So you get 2 free invocations, which are, you can use those for a +2 bonus relating to your positioning, or you can turn them into aspects that you can tag for free. For rerolls, perhaps. Okay. Mr. Vance.
Okay, assuming that we already have fairly detailed scans of this ship, Vance is going to want to utilize phasers mostly to try to overwhelm their shields.
Okay.
He then can get at the weak points which he has already damaged. So, it's not great on the dice, but it doesn't suck on the dice. I keep doing this. So it's 4. I'm adding 6. So that's a 5.
That is another 2 free invocations
Makes
for
me
your attacking.
decent targeting. Get ready to open fire.
All right, engineering.
Okay, so given that we're going on the attack, that leaves us potentially quite vulnerable. So Stranger's approach is going to be boosting the shields.
Nice, yes.
To potentially counter the fact that, we're not exactly getting out the way. So boost us up so that we can take it. Because they're probably going to shoot back.
Yeah.
Tends to be what happens in ship combat, isn't it?
Yeah. It's an exchange of fire.
It is, yeah, that's a 7.
Okay, fantastic. That's 3 free invocations for you.
Shooting back tends to be what happens. Yes, thank you, graduate of Starfleet's Advanced Tactical Training, Lieutenant.
I went to the academy. I know what combat is.
I get how ship combat works.
Yeah.
I was real that time.
So Casey, do you want to try a science?
Yeah, for my part, my role is going to be a little bit more supplementary. I'm going to be basically utilizing the sensors to look at any energy readouts that are coming from the vessel so that we can either anticipate any return fire, or if they look like they're going to, enter any kind of forward thrust, then I can feed that to helm to try and outmaneuver them.
Oh, they're going to fly forward.
So this sounds like what you're doing in ops sensors, is that it?
Yeah.
You have a +1 to that.
That's my actual character sheet, because that's not the greatest roll. Ops 2. I'm going to do so much maths. 2 up to 5 minus the dice. That takes it to a flat 0, so it's a +1.
You do not get any free invocations from that, but I will cash in a minor help to turn that into a 3, so you'll get another invocation. You'll get +1 invocation from that. Okay, fantastic. So now you perform your maneuvers. So Izzy, the way this goes is it is now your decision. You're going to perform maneuvers. You roll for how well the ship does in this maneuver. Since you're attacking, I think you just roll flat. You just roll flat, and you've got all your invocations. You can save some for when the Valdor returns fire. You can save, for example, you could save the engineering shield boosts for when it returns fire. Well, you don't have to.
Okay. I think that what Talandra is doing is, having rolled from the evasive maneuver, she's effectively doing a flyby. allowing Vance to sort of rake across with phasers, which will potentially lead to me tagging aspects in what I assume to be their counterattack. But it means I'm just going to roll straightforwardly for the piloting. Do I add the +2 from pilot to that, or?
Yes. No, you don't add to this. This you just roll flat, but you've got your invocations to create bonuses and rerolls and things.
Fine. That's a +1.
Okay, fantastic. So you've got the Iskandar's aspects that you can spend fate points to invoke, and you've also got any aspects you can imagine based on your free invocations. So you can just add those as +2 bonuses.
I, in which case, would like to spend an invocation on for a +2 on this. And I guess I would like to sort of create the on the fly aspect that they didn't see us coming. That they assumed we were going to be evasive, and not that we would fly directly at them in response to their...
Yeah, okay, I like that. Surprisingly aggressive aspect. Yeah, fantastic. So they're expecting you to dodge and duck and weave and make attacks of opportunity, but in actual fact, you're creating your own opportunities. Because you've already fought them once before, and you pretty decisively showed them the door.
It helps in this situation that the standard Starfleet approach is to try and find a peaceful outcome. This is actually just a continuation of the previous fight. So while we're keeping our comms open, we know that they're trying to kill us.
So you've used a free invocate, one of your piloting invocations there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget you also have 2 invocations from weapons, which I don't think can feasibly use for...
Yeah, so add both of those for the general attack roll, if it's all one roll.
Yeah, if it's all one roll, then...
Yeah, it's one. This is one maneuver using a combination of all of your crew's actions. So that sounds like that's a 6 in total, then, isn't it? That's great. So, let me.
7.
Oh, it's a 7. You're right.
I got a 1 on the die.
You did indeed. So, I think they're going to take weakened shields, since that was the very idea. And they're going to take some stress as well. So, just to remind you, maneuvers will accrue shoal problems.
Mm-hmm.
But because you've adapted the ship, you'll take less shoal risk than normal. So you're only going to take 1 shoal risk for that maneuver. They, being a much larger ship, unfortunately, are in a lot more trouble than you. But right now, they are going to return fire. They are going to... So you've swooped over them. I think you're exploiting their ventral shields, which are weaker. It's also where a lot of their weapons are, to try to expose them and dodging past them. And I think they're going to swoop around and try and strike you as you withdraw with a targeted barrage. So they're trying to target the rear of the Iskandar. So this one's a special type of attack. Because they are trying to target a specific area of the Iskandar, you can't put this attack into hull stress. You can only put it into system stress. That's assuming there's any damage left over at all, because of course you have lots of invocations to reduce them down. So they make a confident attack against the rear of the Iskandar.
Rimba, roll it.
You don't have to roll anything.
Yeah, I didn't think we rolled. I thought.
Tell me about your invocations then.
I'm waiting for. My understanding of the way that this works is that you roll and we use our invocations against it, or are we using our invocations blind?
So they have fixed stats. I'm not rolling any dice for the enemy. You are resisting them. So I think what we did last time.
So we don't know what number we're chasing. We're using the invocations blind.
But the invocations won't pass over to next time anyway. So
yeah. So I guess we're using all 3 of the shield boosts plus any we still have from anything else.
1 piloting and 1 science.
Nothing from science. Oh wait, no.
You got
you got one because you got
minor
the
help. Yes, so 1 from
help.
science.
So that's
Yes.
a total of 5 invocations. So
that's 10.
Yeah.
Because my intention for holding back one of the piloting invocations was
They
to...
don't roll over to next time. Oh, you mean holding back from attack?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was just trying to flavour the invocations so they're not just boring +2s.
Okay, so, and of course you are performing an aggressive maneuver, so I've applied a penalty to that, and I think you do roll an overall defensive thing, don't you, to try to mitigate that, or do you just spend invocations? What did we do last time? I think we just
Last time we were rolling depending upon how we were being defensive.
Oh, that's right, yes.
It
And
was
this
helm
time...
if we were trying to fly out of the way, and it was engineering if we were trying to tank it.
Oh, well, this is more a tanking thing, isn't it, then? So I guess, Emily, roll away.
What I said.
Sorry for forgetting how the system worked.
No, it's yeah. Obviously, I did too. I'm making it up. Not as
Okay,
I go
so so that's the dice roll. I add my own engineering and the ship's engineering to that.
You just add the invocations to this.
Right, it's a flat roll. Okay.
Yeah. This is a roll for luck. This is a luck roll with
Yeah.
your invocations.
Okay, so that is a roll of 13. Not a roll of 13, but like, with all the numbers added on.
I'd love to see these D6s you're rolling. Yeah, no, fantastic. Yeah, great. So essentially, you saw the Iskandar soars underneath them, blasting at their ventral shields with a full phaser sweep. And as they do, you go, okay, fine. So you are boosting all power to the dorsal shields of the Iskandar, and essentially the ship's rocked a bit. The shields are battered by the disruptor strike, but because you boosted power, the shields have regenerated, so there's no overall damage to shields.
Yeah,
nothing to worry about.
And Strange will also probably be, looking at what's happening on tactical, where the attacks are coming from, and using that accordingly to go, okay, we don't need to put as much into the front, shunt all that power into the back shields. Pretty
much, yeah. I think that's you just being really, really on the ball with the power grid. And as the ship flies past, you just go, you're moving the power back as the ship moves forward. And yeah, you take a few hits, but nothing actually gets through or damages your shields. So you've successfully evaded that. Captain Talandra, you're next.
Do all scans fall under op sensors, or do some fall under science by default?
Science is more for things like doing cunning shit with your systems and deflector dish and things like that. Normally scans will be op sensors.
Okay, then.
Science is wave the magic wand of the deflector dish. A lot of the time. Well, in combat, anyway.
Give me a moment.
As we all know, the deflector dish can emit any kind of particle for any kind of purpose. Voyage used to just open up wormholes into fluidic space. It could just do that. It only did it once.
It's well known that a common solution to all track problems is to bounce the graviton particle beam off the main deflector dish.
That's it.
That's the way we do it.
Yeah, that is
way
it.
Dad did it. That's the way Starfleet does it.
That's the way Starfleet does it, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
In which case, I am relying on the science boy to be top science. I'm shunting engineering up to the top, keeping pilot attacking phases on the second tier. And Talandra is going to drop into effectively an evasive stance, still leaving us open to shoot if we need to, but actively seeking to dodge their next wave of attacks.
Gotcha.
But her instruction is going to be they're firing at us with photon torpedoes?
At the moment, they've just been using their disruptor cannons.
Okay. Damn it! What a name.
They use plasma torpedoes normally. The difference is completely meaningless.
Plasma. One is plasma. One is photons.
The one is just a ball of light.
It's not very quantum torpedoes.
They almost certainly have quantum torpedoes because they're a gigantic warship. Quantum torpedoes are quite bad. You definitely don't want those.
In which case, the order will be Lieutenant Casey, full scan on their weapons array. I want those disrupted.
Yes, Captain.
While she is seeking to evade the weapons array.
Okay. Oh, well. Who would like to build your defense first?
I'm gonna hand this over to the smart boys, who will be working on scanning and shielding while.
Okay, Lieutenant.
Wait till the very last minute to drop out of range.
Okay, Lieutenant Casey.
Time to scan some weapons.
Beep boop boop. I just
That is
love
a
scanning for weapons.
critical success on my part.
Okay, good.
So that on the dice is a 5. Plus my science is a 10. Plus the Iskandar's. Oh, would it be ops?
But it's +1 either way. Oh, if it's is it science or ops? Yeah.
I believe it's ops, which will make it 7, and then on the Iskandar's sensors 8. So a nice round 8.
Okay, so first things first, you get 4 free invocations, but that was also a critical success, and a critical success gives you something else as well. And I think because of what you're doing, you're scanning their weapon systems, trying to look for something you can exploit. I think what you get is, so obviously last time you fought them, they had to limp away and do some emergency repairs. You'd obviously have no idea what those repairs might have entailed. I don't think you'd know anything about these sorts of ships, but you have scanned that the weapon systems, as they were firing on you during your last sweep, they emitted a fluctuating power signature. It looks like someone's done a bit of a jury rig to try and get power going where it needs to. It means if you were to weaken their shields around their disruptor cannons and fire a direct hit against their weapons, you would essentially more than halve their aggressive capabilities.
I will feed that information across.
And what I'm going to do, because that was a critical hit, is I'm going to add a permanent aspect for the duration of this combat. So I guess the word I'm looking for is semi-permanent, which is vulnerables.
Good, I see it.
So you can you have that information. If you want to make an aggressive maneuver, you have the new aspect vulnerables. You know where their power grid is being weird, and so if you target that, then you have a good chance of dealing them some pretty catastrophic damage. And the way I'm going to interpret that, just so you know whether it's worth doing or not, is assuming that they still have those slots available, it's going to do at least 6 damage to them on their wounds, as it were. So it's a pretty hefty maneuver. They'll soak some into their shields, of course, but if you do a really aggressive maneuver, you should be able to knock their phaser cannons, disruptor cannons out.
Wicked
no, I don't
cool.
know the difference between a phaser and a disruptor, but Romulan bad guy races have disruptors, good guy races have phasers.
Cardassians have phasers.
For my
They're the good guys, obviously.
just for my record, is that something we can take advantage of this round, like dynamically, or
That
is
is that is an advantage that Casey's critical success has revealed.
In which case, remind me, what's the front of a ship called?
The 4.
The 4?
Hmm.
Okay. In which case, Talandra will sort of bring up that information and say, Lieutenant Strange, boost 4 shields.
That's an adjective.
Aye,
used
Captain.
forward, but yes.
And Strange will do exactly that, bringing that shunted power that he'd previously put over to the aft shields and bringing it round to the 4.
Okie dokie, yeah. Do me an engineering. You've got a +3 bonus.
And I needed it because the dice were not good. 6.
Ah, fab. 2 free invocations on that then. So yes, you've managed to boost the forward dorsal and ventral shields. So you're ready for your frontal attack. Very nice, Lieutenant Vance.
All right, let me see if I can punch through the shields and hit him here. And I'm going to try to target to do exactly that. That's good. That is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 9 on my phases.
So that is 4 free invocations on the phases.
Ought we to tag the ship's aspects now, or when we do the actual attack?
When you do the actual attack would be the time to do it. You can do it when you're setting up your advantages.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That seems completely reasonable to do that then. And to come into the end of this, after all of that, the way I've imagined Talandra doing this is effectively the ship is still in place from having done the attack before, and she is waiting until the absolute last second feasibly possible, once Vance has got his shot off, before doing a rapid evasive maneuver to dodge out of the way of their abilities.
Okay, so I think you still need to make a flight control roll, don't you? Yes.
I need to make an evasion check. I'm going to re-roll that. I'm going to tag Talandra's aspect poised adrenaline junkie, because she is adept at pulling off moves that seem to be very reckless but are in fact incredibly well calculated, and she times it to the second when is the best time to dodge away. She doesn't rely on any of that feeling stuff. She just goes, no, it was the right move to make in that exact moment. Oh, and I'm glad I did. Plus my piloting, which is plus 4. I think my character sheet's just reloading. The top skill on our tree is plus 4, right? Anyone? Plus 3? What are we?
No. Top skills are plus 5.
Oh, okay, cool. Plus 5, great. I very rarely use my plus skill, so it's plus 4. 4, 3, 8. That was an 8. Got overall.
So that's 4 free invocations on evading.
Right.
Oh, that's 4 free invocations on your pilot evasion. Okay, so you make your maneuver now, Captain.
So we start with the attack, or
You are now making. This is you now executing that maneuver. So you just roll dice.
oh, I thought I evade once they attack us.
So you are evading, but while evading, your tactical station is taking the opportunity to attempt to exploit this weakness that your science station has uncovered.
Ah, okay, superb. So that's
So even when performing evasive maneuvers, you're still firing weapons at them.
So Kath can roll that.
Sure. Doesn't matter who. You're not adding anything to it.
Okay.
I want people to roll based on the thing they're doing, because they get to have the glory of the thing they're doing.
That is a plus 4.
Okay, a plus 4, and obviously you're welcome to add your invocations to that.
I'll add all 4, so that's an extra 8, so that'll be a 12.
Deliberately tagging vulnerables.
Yeah, I'll spend a fate point.
Yep.
Might as well spend a fate point on that to hit that targeting the vulnerables.
Yep.
Bit. I don't know if that turns it into a 16 or if it turns it into a 14 with vulnerables, but however you want to do it. I just want to get them in the face.
You want to get them. So I'm going to do a few things in response to this. I am going to compel an aspect, refunding you a fate point. The aspect I'm going to compel is caught in a shoal. So you get a fate point back. This doesn't mitigate your success, but it will mean that you're going to get more shoal risk from having done this. And I'm going to cash in one of your minor hinders from Tin Hat. Their shields are slightly stronger than you were expecting, but that's only a -2. So you've still got a 14 or a 12. Something terrifying. Is it a 12?
I got a 14 with all my invocations and a 16 if it was the vulnerables.
So yeah, fine. So
We
that's still
have the spare science aspects as invocations as well, because
you
they
can.
feel like
Oh yeah,
they
fuck
feel like
it.
they
Throw
do
them in. How many
elements
did
of-
you get? Sorry, I wasn't sure what we were saving for
he
defense.
got
but
4
you're right.
as well. He got 4 as well.
So
Hell
let's
yeah.
turn that to a 22. So that's a 24 with the vulnerables.
With vulnerables. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. They're going to have to take a whole ton of shoal risk trying to point something other than their weapons, but they can't get out of your way. So they're going to take a whole lot of stress because you tagged vulnerables. They're going to take major damage to their forward disruptors. It would now be a very bad idea for them to continue using those. Half of them they can't use, and the other half of them are so unstable they're likely to explode if they get any more power put through them. It is now their counter attack. So what they're going to do is they're going to swoop on by you, exposing the aft, at which point they are going to at which point they are going to unleash a barrage of torpedoes. I am going to compel another aspect and refund you another fate point. I'm going to compel outgunned. And they are going to fire a barrage of disruptors and both plasma and quantum torpedoes. Quantum torpedoes are really bad news. They didn't use these last time because you assume they're not trying to destroy you. They're probably trying to incapacitate your ship and board it like they did with the Berenike. But quantum torpedoes don't incapacitate. Quantum torpedoes create holes where things used to be.
So we roll to evade.
Yes, fortunately, you've got lots of evasive aspects, and you've boosted your forward shields.
Yep. Hit me up with how many, with any invocations that people have.
So you had.
Can't remember how many we got for engineering. The roll was a 6.
Yes, you got that'd be a 2.
So that's 2 from that.
Yeah, that's 2 from that, and I think it was.
I think we've spent all our weapons, pew.
Yeah, you haven't spent any of your piloting ones. So you've got the 2 for engineering, and then your piloting ones.
I'm going to spend 1 fate point from the ship's pool to tag small and agile, and I'm going
Such
to
good spend. Yeah,
and I'm going to re-roll my roll.
How bad was it?
It was a -2, which I turned into a +2. So
Fair play.
that is a straightforward win for me. +2, 8, 10. That is. I don't add my piloting roll.
No, this is just a luck roll.
Then that is a 14 on evasive maneuvers.
Very good. You are hit for 6.
Hit for 6.
A quantum torpedo smashes into your forward shields. It doesn't make it much past the forward shields, but that's an awful lot of energy for your shield grid to deflect.
Okay,
The ship is rocked.
How do I mark that on our character sheet?
Well, you have a lot of options for marking damage on your character sheet. The thing you don't want to fill up is the damage bits, the minor, major, and moderate. You don't want to fill those up. When you fill those up, you're done. You probably want to fill up stress first, but that's entirely up to you.
We only have 6 stress boxes, so this is going to take out.
Yeah, you have system stress, which will apply debuffs to those priorities, and hull stress, which doesn't do anything until it's full. So you could put, say, 1 in hull stress, and it wouldn't actually do anything mechanically to you, but 1 in system stress would. And the damage breaches there are essentially aspects that will be compelled against you.
Fuck! I don't want to take damage. Can I just not?
Yes. You can just not, but then so can they.
Yeah, but I'll unplug your internet.
That would make it difficult for me
That's
to GM.
solid play.
That is meta. I admire that. Casey has rolled such a good science that he's ripped a hole into our reality.
Casey just goes, "Hey, Izzy, his internet cable is just there. You could just yank it out."
I think we're not going to get out of this without filling one of the damage boxes, and so we can reduce it with the 2.
Yeah, take 2 hull and a moderate.
Remember what you can do. This is something we did last time. If you take the minor damage, weakened forward shields. If Emily rolls enough invocations, she can always spend one to temporarily ignore that. But that's what we did last time. You can just temporarily boost the shields for a round.
No, we need to take out 6, so we would still need to spend 4 elsewhere. I suggest we take 1 moderate damage and 2 hull stress, because if we take system stress, we start to lose our mechanical benefits of those. So that would just become cumulatively, we would just be shitter and shitter if we start taking those.
Okay, are you okay to mark us 2 hull stress, please?
Yep, no problem.
Moderate damage needs to be better than weakened forward shields.
It's probably forward shields down. Because I think 4 would be shields down, 6 would be that shield emitter has been destroyed.
Hell yeah,
get the plague, shithead.
Don't get the plague. Yeah, I'm going to say forward shields down because it took a direct hit and absorbed the damage, and that's good.
To be clear, if Casey hadn't put more than full power into those shields, there might be a hole in your bridge right now.
Yeah, I think that what Strange actually did was purposefully direct, it's all on 4 panels of the shield that's just had a big hole blasted through it. But it's one of those where, when you see people with safety goggles with a wedge of glass in it and you go, oh, I'm glad we had the safety goggles.
Did I say Strange?
You said Casey.
Oh, damn it.
Sorry, you're like the distant captain that's like, oh, one of them. And I'm the first officer that goes, yes, Strange did do very well there, Captain. Yes, yes. Superb. Well, that's us. We are.
Yep, that's it. They are now. You're now facing their aft, and it's your maneuver.
If we've kind of done the flyby and we're facing their aft, Vance will go, we hit them a lot in the aft before. They've probably still got some significant weaknesses. Recommend we hang up on their behind and tail them there.
Do we know? Do we / Tlandra / I know anything about the sorts of things that would be in the aft of a Romulan?
You can actually see that there is still damage from the last confrontation, so you can still see from basic tactical scans their shuttle bay is still destroyed, and they've restored their aft torpedo bays, but they have almost no aft disruptors. They've got barely anything. So yeah, most of the damage you did back there is still there. Repairing a shuttle bay is a get back to a star base. They need to just put a new one in. They can't just smash a hammer against the wall until it's fixed.
But the shields are still.
You do notice one of the wounds that is still there is weakened shields, which I've been applying. They've lost a couple of their secondary shield generators. So while their shields are at full strength, they're not generating them as efficiently as they might have been, and they're more vulnerable to being taken out completely.
Lieutenant Casey, scan for their shield frequency. Lieutenant Strange, deploy deflector array. Lieutenant Vance, I want targets on all of their weakened ship systems.
Okay.
Landra will stay evading in the wake of the ship, knowing it can't turn easily and avoiding their weapons as best as possible. Oh, hold the phone. Hold the phone. I meant to swap round these 2 pilots. I'm just doing that now. The round hasn't started. I'm taking my finger off the pawn. You can't tell me off.
Rearranging these.
Hello?
Thanks for patching me in.
Sorry, I'm going to go on the other line.
Yes?
Yes, can confirm I'm holding the phone.
I hate that.
Yeah, now sorted. I've just swapped around, so our top 3 are engineering, evasion phases.
Okay,
Hell
fantastic. Yeah, great. Phases which invisibly includes all of your weapon systems.
I'm in a fight right now. Yes,
You
so
are.
I guess we start with Casey. We do Casey Strange.
It doesn't matter what order you go in; it's all happening at the same time.
Matters to me.
It's
The
Gates
flow-
McFadden's birthday.
Yay! Happy
Is
birthday!
it?
McFadden.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Gates McFadden.
We should
with your-
sing happy birthday.
No, let's
No, we
keep it
shouldn't.
moving. Keep it moving.
All right, 1 on the dice. Ops 2, 3. Sensors 4. 4.
A lovely 4, I think, is A. Yep, 1 free invocation from your senses. Befuddlery. That's a word now. Okay, great. 1 free invocation on tracking or reading the enemy power signatures, whatever it is you want to do with that later. Who's next?
Strange.
Okay.
I wasn't actually asked. It wasn't a question for you, is he? It's a
I'm
general-
the captain.
Someone has to say whose turn it is next.
That's true. Actually, it's fair. Yeah, no one else will. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Especially as we have no body language to go off.
But yeah, so that on the dice is checking. Yeah, we've got 3 on that, so that's 8.
Oh, fantastic.
As Strange goes and deploys that deflector array as ordered, but also sees what he can do to bring those 4 shields back up.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got 4 free invocations.
We like having shields.
Oh,
I know how ship combat works.
So, let's see. Shields are down, but you haven't taken any damage to the emitters. So I think we'll kind of work it the same way. I think you can do a temporary shield boost. So you can spend 2 invocations to temporarily return the shields. They're not going to return to full power, but it's better than having no shields.
It is a lot better than having no shields. So how many invocations did I get with an 8?
You got 4 invocations.
Cool. Yeah, let's burn 2 of those on having shields.
Love it. I love this for us.
I'm going to ignore that for a round. You've managed to temporarily charge up your shields.
Just turn them off and on again. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, just degauss them.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick question, highlighting that I'm a bad technological Trekkie, but I do enjoy the roguelike game Faster Than Light. Are torpedoes any better against shields than lasers?
Worse, if anything.
No, because in Faster Than Light you can reach early level shields with your torpedoes. If
Yeah, the way I've always sort of done it is, and this is from the old days where I used to play things like Starfleet Academy, torpedoes was something you don't want to waste on a fully shielded enemy. Normally you use phasers to soften the shields. A torpedo isn't going to get through shields normally. In fact, it was a plot point in Star Trek Generations where they specifically... Oh no, that's a different thing.
Look, I am
Generations, where the Klingons tune the frequency of their torpedo.
Yeah, but that was just to bypass the shield.
To bypass the
At
shield.
the defense. It wasn't a reflection.
I am just sometimes when you're dealing with sci-fi and space opera, you have to use the things that you have, and in order to, the only time I'm any good at ship combat is when I'm playing FTL.
Look,
So in my brain, this is a game of FTL.
The answer is if you fire enough torpedoes, of course the shields will go down because the shields will try to take on the energy. The reason you use phasers is because you don't pay by the laser, whereas torpedoes have to be replicated.
It's fine. It's good. It's fine. I leave it to Vance's discretion.
Apparently you can replicate torpedoes, but you can't replicate warp cores. Anyway, moving on. Lots of things you can't replicate. You can replicate, for example, fully alive human beings, but you can't replicate latinum. I don't know. Okay, weapons then.
All right. Vance is going to target, primarily want to go for that aft torpedo launcher, because that's going to fucks right up.
Yeah.
that is a +2 +6. Where are we still at? So that is a 8.
You have 4 invocations on firing against their aft torpedo bays.
And Talandra is going to be evading in their wake.
Mm-hmm.
For a 3.
Okay, lovely. So that's a free invocation on evasion.
Great.
So your maneuver is ready.
Roll it,
Go.
attack boys.
Sure, I'm attack boy. I'm gonna roll it.
Attack boy, do the attack.
It's
now.
me,
Attack
attack
boy,
boy. It's what it
alpha.
says on my trading card.
That's good. So that's +3 on the dice.
I'm going to give you another +2. Frey McFuzzles has redeemed a minor.
So that's a 5. Adds an 8 from all of my things. So that's a 13. Was there anything? Is there anything else I can take from people to aggress? I'm gonna aggress at them. Casey, what did you do? Science boy.
I got a 2, right?
You got one invocation.
I got 1. I'm sorry, I didn't. Mean
I'm gonna
to
take
lie.
it. I'm fucking taking
Oh,
it.
that was mine. I was gonna give it to my mamas.
Fuck your mamas.
Whoa.
Die here, boy.
Oh
So
shit.
rude.
So that's 15, I think. I think
Okay.
that adds up to Adam. I was just giving Casey shit.
Okay.
What
so,
science boys are for?
They're going to feel that. 15. So I think they're going to have to take major damage. I think we're going to have to knock out something important. What's important? Oh, that's terrible. Okay, I am going to kill.
The torpedo launcher I was shooting at?
Yeah, I'm gonna kill their rear torpedoes. I have to
Doesn't
kill-
help, like, Talandra doesn't.
I'm gonna have to kill 2 things to soak this, but the other thing's much smaller.
Romulans.
Oh.
So I am going to take out. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to affect their navigational sensors, so they're going to take even more shoulder risk when they try complicated maneuvers. They really are in a lot of trouble, but that's okay. That's fine. They're definitely leaking. There's a huge explosion. I mean, when you take out a torpedo bay, you also presumably detonate a few torpedoes. So yeah, their aft section is a bit of a mess. Their response is to engage their cloaking device.
Yep. Pretty classic.
But they're engaged in the cloaking device. Neither ends the combat, nor does it rob you of your turn.
And they don't fire on us, so our defensive maneuvers are all entirely based around just.
Yeah, you essentially were taking evasive maneuvers while Vance was firing, but instead of countering with more fire, they engaged the cloak.
Oh no, great. We are happy with that. Very well. They've gone away. Therefore, I'm gonna keep that up there. I'm gonna just do a bit of shufflage. I have kept engineering at top. Next up is evasion and sensors, because Talandra is going to continue on reflexive evasive maneuvers, and we'll say Lieutenant Casey, scan the shoal for any disruption in graviton emissions. It might be that we can track their movement through the shoal. Lieutenant Strange, get our shields back online. Maximum priority.
Hi, Captain.
Hi, Captain.
Okay.
I'll do that. Oh, I'm gonna scan that shoal. Atrocious. Let me do some quick maths.
Roll something.
I
Lacey
might.
commits an atrocity.
I shoot
Maybe
3
you roll tagging your
Romulans
aspect.
dead.
Not a fucking idiot.
You just shoot Lashar dead. I've had enough of her attitude, Captain.
I'm on
really
it.
counts
First
as an
things first.
atrocity.
Blam.
Like, I feel like shooting Lashao dead doesn't count as an atrocity.
No, she's very annoying.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tag my brightest mind of my generation aspect.
I love the fact that it makes obvious you only use it when you totally whiff science rolls, but I just love this. Like, I'm a smart boy.
Yeah.
I'm able
boy,
to
damn
do
it.
this. I'm clever.
It's not a fact about Casey. It's a motivational poster he has in his quarters.
We know what Casey's like, though. We know full well that it's actually someone with the brightest mind of your generation.
He flashes back to when he was 4 at like some junior science fair, and you made like the most amazing papier-mâché volcano, and your teacher went, "Sammy, you really are the brightest mind of your generation." Gave it a little pat on the head, and that has carried you through your entire career.
He's not a savant. He's not a genius. He's regular.
Yeah.
I got a
Just a
4.
little bit sub-average.
To be honest, given the social skills, kind of passable as a person.
Is that plus the additional +1 from it being high priority?
What?
+2, I think. It's op
plus
senses,
2.
isn't it?
+2, yes.
Sorry,
So yeah.
I mean, it's always
You're-
at a +1 because it's enhanced, but it was like the additional +1.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's mad maths. I veto all mad maths.
Sense to me. I'm the captain.
I get you, and you are the captain. It however, did include it.
What is he saying is everything has a standing +1 bonus. So when she calls it a +1, she means +2. That is against the law. You can't do that.
That's a crime.
That's a crime.
Confirmed. That's a numbers crime.
The Galactic
Internet
Hague,
or
the
you-
Galactic Hague would like to know your location.
Yeah. The answer to your question is yes. However, oddly and bizarrely, you want to structure it. I got a 4 total.
A 4 total is 1 free invocation on
Hell yeah.
Sensor Bone Shite.
Sensor bone shite.
Okay, engineering.
Oh, I'm gonna fix things.
I love that engineering, despite the fact that the captain is a Vulcan, is very logical, still will receive the utterly impossible task: fix the shields. Well, okay, that'll take me a few days, and so nope. Now in combat, 10 seconds, go.
On it. So Strange will continue to try and chunt things about to try and make these damn shields work. Because having shields in combat good.
So I've heard.
So I've been told, repeatedly in a Texan accent.
I've told you about 20 times. We need...
Was this an argument you were having? Like Strange, like I just don't know if we still need shields. Is the whole
They're still
is the
shooting
whole-
at us.
is the whole paradigm redundant at this point?
No, I like.
So the way combat works is they still shoot at us.
Yeah, that seems really unfair.
Okay. I don't see why they do that, but okay.
I like the idea that
Works to me.
Strange is like, well, I can give you options. I can do shields, or I can do this new experimental armor plating I've decided from the inner Jeffrey's tube, and just over there we go, shield now.
Fine, I guess you don't get to see my fancy transparent aluminium hull reinforcement. Fine, all right. I'll put away the fancy hull reinforcement. You'll be sorry later, but fine. Shields it is.
Yeah. You were going to deploy the ablative armor, but no, it's shields apparently.
Apparently, yous all want shields. Well, fine. Yous can have your shields.
What you get?
Then if I yourself, I'll just pop a shield. 8 on the dice, by the way, in all of this. I rolled the dice ages ago before I said it.
So I'm going to offer you a devil's bargain. That's right, motherfucker. So I'm going to offer you an interesting thing.
I do like an interesting thing.
So essentially what this represents, because of course your shield emitters, the actual thing on the outside of the ship isn't damaged. It's just the power relays are blown out a bit from the ridiculous amount of stuff the shields had to do. So you're dispatching a repair team, essentially.
Yeah, just chuck a couple of spare engineering ensigns into
Yeah.
it.
So I think what this role represents is how well they do, or what initiative they take to repair. So I'm going to make you an offer.
Mm-hmm.
You can either do as we did before. You can spend 2 invocations to temporarily mitigate the problem, or you can spend all of them to downgrade the damage from a 4 to a 2 permanently.
Mm.
Whether that's worth doing is a guess that you will have to make.
Okay.
It would mean that, for example, going forward, you could mitigate it with just 1 invocation rather than 2. So
That's true. Yes.
depending upon how much longer that you think the battle's going to go, it might be worth doing.
Yeah. I think at this point, given that you said they're taking things like major damage after torpedoes
Yeah,
are out, they are to use a technical term, fucked.
That is the technical term, yeah, that is it.
So I don't think this battle's going on much longer. So I'm gonna take the just using 2 invocations now to temporarily brute force the shields into working.
So you can spend 2 invocations, and I will ignore the forward shields down aspect. That's fantastic. Okay. I feel like the rhythm of the game tells me someone hasn't set up their advantages yet.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Vance hasn't. I'm not entirely. I haven't yet come up with something clever other than standing by. Really, that's as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah. You are working with the fact that you don't know where they are.
No, and we don't have the same. Like he'll do some attempts at trying to extrapolate a likely line of fire, and no, in fact, he's going to prioritize getting ready for forward salvo of weapon fire, because they're most likely to try to attack our weakened front. And if they do, let's at least kick the shit out of them before we blow up. So he will be mostly getting ready for shooting everything in front of them.
Okay. So yeah, I think you're going to want to make a roll to get yourself in a favorable position to take advantage of the fact that you have forward shields, that your weapons arrays are online and ready to target. This is what this role is representing is essentially you don't know where they're going to be coming from, but you've got a pretty good idea of what they're going to try and do and what part of them you'll be facing when they come out of cloak.
Yes.
Probably plonk our asses closer to the Berenike so they can't as easily come at us from the front.
Essentially,
that's the only obstacle we've got.
Yeah.
So I'll roll that now.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't so much a question. It was more just me going to my stats. That is a +5.
Okay, fine. Good.
Thanks. I'm glad that I have your approval.
The ship successfully moves. Things variously happen, and you engage that unfortunate part of a fight with a Romulan where you have to wait for them to fight. Rounds in this game don't represent 6-second increments of time. They represent the next event happening in the fight. So some time, a small amount of time passes. They decloak and they make their attack. You are struck with a surprise attack, which isn't all that surprising, but certainly it's a surprise to the Iskandar itself, which is quite a placid Leviathan. Its neural gel packs are actually achieved a state of inner peace and calm, and doesn't appreciate being put through this stress.
Leave our Zen circuitry alone.
Zen circuitry, that should be an aspect. So I'm gonna do a whole bunch of
Zen
stuff.
Zen circuitry
here.
is the name of one of the engineering ensigns.
It sounds to me like this is their desperate last stand. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to refund you a fate point and compel outgunned. There's a hinder I haven't done yet, isn't there? From Lou. Lou, my
You
favorite.
bastard!
Lou is my favorite. So I'm going to hinder you, but that is essentially a compelled aspect, which I'm going to make up. So I'm going to give you another fate point. What's that compelled aspect going to be? What did you do?
That's the aspect. What did you do?
So I'm looking at that. They are very badly damaged. There are things they are simply not capable of doing that they ordinarily might do. I think the aspect I'm going to compel against you is I can compel a positive aspect, can't I?
Sure.
Yeah.
I am going to do something very Romulan. I am going to compel, I've already refunded the fate point, I'm going to compel your specially adapted shoal-resistant comms and sensors. As 2 ships appear to decloak. Now, you can tell on the tactical station that there's something not right here. The spike in external power isn't right. The spike in external power, however, your sensors are unable to resolve exactly where they are. They don't have many weapons, forward or aft, because you knocked out their forward disruptors early on in the fight, thanks to vulnerables. But what they have, they are firing at you from a position that you are presently unable to precisely determine. And a barrage of a mercifully much smaller number of torpedoes and disruptor bolts than might normally be emitted, nevertheless.
Well, so defensive time, I guess. Firstly, getting the hell out of Dodge.
Also, this is you rolling in response. So you've already set up your advantages.
Yeah.
So you just need to roll and spend some.
Sorry, I'm aware. I was just building up my sentence to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was worried you were about to start a whole new combat round.
No.
I understand you now.
Look, I just like to describe shit. It's not a war
game.
In
fate, it's much better to describe after you've rolled, because there's no point describing something really cool than rolling a botch.
So my sentence was going to be, since I'd like to be getting the hell out of Dodge by using the invasion, who's got the invokes for that? Do we have shields at this point?
Yes,
we do. We've still got 2 spare for that.
Was there anything else we had that can help us with dodging? Great.
What did science have?
I had a 1. I can't remember what I did.
You didn't. I didn't use it, so we've not used it for attack. So you have that free invocation.
Yeah,
for science
you
for
have
seeing
that
things
for
coming.
Yeah.
And whatever invocations you have for piloting.
Perb, I am going to spend a fate point. I can't tag small and agile again. Okay, I'm going to spend a fate point. I'm going to attack shoal-resistant engines. Because Talandra, in doing her evasive maneuver, is going to skirt dangerously close to the edge of the shoal, which could either have heroic or tragic consequences, depending on what we're doing, but we are able to, and they are not.
Yeah.
That's much better. Meh. And it's three invokes, I think I have.
Mm-hmm.
That's 10. That's plus 10.
Okay. I am going to therefore... They don't have any for disruptors. That's a -2. They've lost their nav sensors. So they need to take lots of shell risk. So I'm going to ask you to deal with 8 damage.
8 damage.
8 damage.
A lot of damage, Luke.
It's not a small amount.
We have to take a major damage.
Yeah. What can we take?
You're going to have to blow up a system.
Don't want to.
That is not my decision to make.
Do it.
Whose console gets blown up?
This is the exciting part of this kind of challenge.
That's true. Yeah, this is the
to-
point where we get to pick.
Yeah,
Oh.
You are. Oh,
Dice
I like.
of death.
I can. We can do dice of death.
I'll get a D4.
Do it.
I want.
Oh, bollocks! My dice bag's all the way over there.
I think dice of death is the only fair way to do.
So this is determining which PC gets plasma in their face, and therefore which subsystem of the ship is blown up.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I am here for it more than anything.
Okay. I'm going down clockwise from my perspective.
Fine.
So
Here's what.
I'm 1. Emily's 2.
I was going to ask for 2 anyway.
Izzy is 4.
Right, great. I am.
Oh my god, this is awesome.
2.
The warp core blows up.
It's a 3.
Holy shit. Casey's dead.
Okay.
A 3 is, in many ways, for me, the second best option.
Actually, this is really good because I've got another character I can be, so that's actually fine.
A pretty good point.
That is a
actually,
point, yeah. I don't have another character that I
I
can
guess
be.
of all of us, it's the best decision.
So I think what's going to happen is that the sensor array takes just the brunt of the barrage, and you realize you've got to quickly divert some power out of there. But of course, the Federation builds its power systems out of TNT. So yeah, you are blinded me with science. Yeah. So Casey, you are critically injured, and you have lost your active sensor array. This is bad news.
That's actually in order of least to most severe from Casey's perspective. Were he not unconscious, it's fine if I'm critically injured. My sensor array.
Yes.
Anyway, time to bleed.
Unfortunately, like sparks go out and Casey's just gone flying into a wall. So
Yes, the big problem now is that the Romulan ship is now effectively almost permanently cloaked. But you still have your passive sensors, so you can still you're still getting the equivalent of if you were in a submarine. You still get the equivalent of, I heard a sound. I think they're 300 degrees that way. So you still know where they are, but not necessarily very precisely.
We also still have windows
You also,
and eyes.
Not on the bridge.
Not on the bridge, ironically.
No, but we could send people out if we were really stuck.
You could do the Picard maneuver, by which I of course mean ram your ship into.
yes, we can
Spoiler
crash.
warning: your ship is not as big as the Enterprise E, and
But this is not as big as a scimitar class.
it's not as big as the Scimitar. No, it's much bigger than Iskandar, though. And I think the Enterprise E lost an Iskandar-sized section of its saucer when it
They're
rammed the-
comparable. It's just we're both smaller than both of those ships.
There's something about. There's some lore about objects hitting surfaces at speed and how deeply they penetrate. I think it would become redundant with Iskandar, which would probably just be turned into duratanium scraps.
Also, thankfully, our pilot is Talandra, and under almost no circumstances is she going to think that ramming is a good idea.
Separate the saucer section.
I mean, it certainly would, but more in the Berenike sense. Okay, you have no active sensors. I'm going to get rid of vulnerables because you can't really. I think, yeah, okay. I'm going to get rid of shoal-resistant comms and sensors as well. Don't really have that anymore. Okay, Captain.
Can I get a breakdown of what we knew before our sensors went down?
Yes, so there was something rather confusing was happening.
Yeah.
They were projecting a sensor ghost. And it's left you with an indeterminate position for the ship. You knew their speed and heading. And you knew a fairly large area in which they may have been, probably towards the center of that area, but like the nucleus of an atom.
I can verse this based on the torpedoes that hit us.
You could try. You
Yeah.
could try, for example, using your flexible computer aspect to get the tactical array to try to calculate based on lots of factors where they might be. Yeah, that'd be a pretty neurogel pack thing to do.
Now you're thinking with neurogels.
You're thinking with neural gel. Oh no, don't. I think we are all in a way thinking with neural gel.
I mean, I imagine Vance is doing that thing where he's rapidly extrapolating a plan.
Yeah.
And Talandra's like, "Yep, make that happen."
He will be encouraging to, keep on using the Baraniki for cover while he tries to calculate, and we try to get a bead on these bastards.
You receive an incoming communication.
On screen.
It's audio only. These are some old school Romulans.
On audio.
And they say, unidentified Federation starship. It appears you still have working warp drive. We advise that you evacuate Romulan space immediately. As the transmission cuts.
Talandra will look at Tarek, but will say, I assume we are unable to respond?
We can put out a communication, Captain. Whether they'll receive it or respond to it, I have no idea. Our comms array won't work long range, but they should hear us.
Very well. Strange how Vance... I can't speak quickly and speak Vulcan at the same time. Strange, help Vance develop the weapons telemetry. Open channel to Romulan vessel.
Channel open, Captain.
Romulan vessel, this is Captain Talandra of the USS Iskandar. Despite your assertions to the contrary, this is neutral space. We are unaware of any changes to the boundary line and have come on a mission of...
This is Lashar. Captain.
Am I lying? Oh.
Cut the channel.
Cut channel.
Where the fuck is she?
She's been on the bridge this whole time.
She's been on the bridge
the
the entire time.
Okay.
There might be a way to buy us some time, Captain.
Then I urge you to speak it quickly, Lashar.
Open a channel and say Lotus Talon Blue and order them to withdraw at once.
What does it mean?
It doesn't matter what it means. They either will heed it or they won't.
Talandra pauses. It's a very quick pause, but obviously in the way that the scene is shot, it's quite a long pause.
Of course. The Romulans know how to give you dramatic time. They're not monsters, not barbarians, Talandra.
Oh, one of them fires a torpedo and we go, we are having a moment. And they go, oh God, we're so sorry. I would like, in this moment, to potentially make a roll. In that Talandra is going to look at Lashar with her utterly impassive expression, the drama of the bridge going around her, people being dragged out to sick bay, all that kind of stuff. And she is going to, I guess, in that moment, she is going to attempt to get a bead on Lashar's intentions based around Vulcan micro expressions.
Okay.
Because Talandra has high empathy and she's good at reading people. And so in that moment, Lashar's asking her to trust her. Talandra's like, I don't necessarily trust you, but this is desperate situations. I'm just trying to, that's the moment I'm going for.
Make me an empathy check. Yes, I see that on the list of skills. I checked before I asked for a roll. That is the first time that's happened, and it's happening.
That's a +6.
Okay. So...
She doesn't think she's lying. She's just trying to get a sense of her...
It's a vibe check.
Her vibe. It's a vibe check.
You slap her around the face. Stop messing around, Lashar.
That's a vibe.
Not a vibe.
So she seems to sincerely believe that this might work, but there is, between when she shouted for you to close the channel and her finishing giving you the instruction about this strange phrase to say, you weren't paying the most attention at the beginning, but it seemed to you as though there was a change in her bearing. There was a change in the level of emotionality.
How mistrustful. What did she say? Lotus dragon.
Lotus Talon Blue, and then to command them to withdraw.
She glances around the bridge again. Open channel.
Channel open, Captain.
Romulan vessel. Lotus Talon Blue, you are ordered to withdraw. Repeat. Lotus Talon Blue, you are ordered to withdraw. Talandra's given this instruction while leaning over the helm panel because she's stood in case she needs to go to the chair, but she's fundamentally still flying the damn ship.
The effect for the time being is that the Romulans hesitate. They're trying to
calculating how to shoot them.
Lashar says they're trying to decide whether the order is legitimate. Now would be an excellent time to leave.
Would that not appear suspicious?
The order will not hold up. They will know that you are not legitimately providing that order, but they are confirming their suspicions.
They already just told us to leave.
They have no intention of allowing you to leave, however.
Lieutenant Strange, power aft, shields.
Your fate is that of the Baron Nike, I believe.
Power to aft, shields.
Federation vessel. Please repeat your last communication.
Talandra glances at Lashar. Talandra holds the comms channel open, as if preparing to respond, all the while rapidly punching in her get the fuck out of Dodge commands. I think we'll wait another second, almost too long, and then we withdraw.
So, make me a pilot evasion check.
Yes.
They are going to be firing on you as you attempt to leave, despite the fact that you are doing the thing that they've asked you to do.
That's 8.
Okay, so as Lashar has suggested with that shake of her head, they're not buying it. And as you go to withdraw, they start launching disruptor bolts at you, but you've took the time to plot a course. What you don't have, of course, is the ability to predict the gravitic behavior of the shoal. And although you managed to move out of the way, thanks to Vance's calculations with the weapons trajectory and being able to start to predict where they're coming from. Essentially, every time they fire the disruptors, the computer's probability match for where they are shrinks and shrinks until eventually it will resolve a proper image. But you receive an alert from the passive sensors that there is a power signature dead ahead. And because this is passive sensors, dead ahead still means like 2,000 kilometers. And you can put it on screen, because on screen is just a camera. It's just a webcam they've stuck on top of the ship, and you see a Dederidex class Romulan warbird decloaking, and you see a green disruptor beam launch out of it, but it does not strike you. Lashar furrows her brow.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Well, these guys are renegade. The idea that someone came after them.
Yes.
How about we call the Romulan take out the trash team and give them some thanks on what the hell's going on?
Captain, we've got an incoming signal from the larger warbird. Wait, Captain. Don't accept that communication.
Why now? You want to tell us?
Because we do not know. There is an ongoing political coup on Romulus, and we do not know yet which faction either of these warbirds belongs to. And I may not be an aficionado of the performing arts, but even I recognize the potential for theatre when I see it.
Tarek, place communications in holding pattern. Lashar, I suggest you start talking.
I suggest you and I go to your ready room, Captain, where you receive their communication on a secure channel and attempt to give the same order I've just recommended.
Commander, she's yanking our chain still.
Chain or not, Lieutenant, currently this ship is in no position to fight with 3 Romulan warbirds.
The ship is in no position to be screwed with by them. There's no gain to it.
I have no intention of leading you into a trap that will get me killed, Captain, whatever you think my motivations might be. However, if my survival is indeed on the line as to whether you make a reasonable decision, then you and I should go to your ready room and I will explain myself.
Lieutenant Vance, as it stands, our decision is between fighting and theatre. I will take the theatre for as long as it gives us another second to repair our ship.
Actually, my recommendations is we actually talk to these fellas, but go ahead, Commander.
Continue with your combat telemetry. Get our sensors back online, Lieutenant Strange.
Aye, Captain.
Guess I'm going to go speak to some Romulans.
Oh, Casey sizzles.
The longer you take to...
Like, I assume he's been
transported
onto
just kind of
rather
push him
than
off
just
the
being left
console.
with your sweet
No,
people on
I'm
the floor.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm an old school GM. You didn't say emergency medical teams to the bridge, so no emergency medical teams have come to the bridge. I'm sorry.
I guess he just lies there on the floor, slowly crisping.
Leaking various fluids, yeah. So yeah, back in the captain's ready room, the longer you take to respond, the more suspicious they will become. I suggest you establish a secure channel and give the coded phrase again. If they accept your orders, then we are in trouble. But they should withdraw and give us time to get through. Approximately half an AU from our location, I believe, although distance is difficult to calculate. There is a wormhole. It's not really a wormhole. It's a subspace fissure being artificially held open by our scientists. It functions as a wormhole, though only for smaller vessels. The Iskandar might just about be small enough not to be destroyed by the quantum forces. It is the same wormhole I used to get to this system and await for my rendezvous. On the other side of it, there is a short journey by warp to the Romulan neutral zone where the Romulan fleet awaits, as I said before. We should go to the Romulan fleet.
My decision as it stands regarding the fleet is still my decision.
Yes, but the fleet is expecting me to arrive. I was supposed to have been with them a day or so ago.
In which case, Lashar, once I am done dealing with this warbird, we are going to have a very frank conversation.
Yes. I expect we are. I tried to avoid it, but I suppose I would rather have been picked up by the Federation. I suggest you go ahead.
Message received from the holding pattern. What do they have to say for themselves?
Well, the secure channel opens.
Oh, I thought they hailed us.
They do. They are hailing you, yes. Are you letting them talk?
Yes.
Oh, okay then.
They're not going to mind control me with their words. If they're raising a hail, I want to hear at least what they have to say first.
This one appears on screen. A female Romulan appears on screen. I'm Commander Ayala. Or how can I be of assistance, Captain?
Dragon Talon Blue? Lotus Talon Blue.
Lotus Talon Blue.
Lotus Talon Blue, you are ordered to withdraw.
Oh, would you please repeat?
Lotus Talon Blue, you are ordered to withdraw.
My apologies, Colonel. I did not realize. One moment, please. Yes, Colonel. We will withdraw. Your confrontation with the Valdor, sir. Should we not have intervened?
Talandra is so obscenely out of her depth.
Lashar can't really talk to you with the communications channel
No.
open, but she seems to be mouthing something at you.
Talandra will risk a nanosecond glance at her, and she will just go, "Carry on, Commander," and
Yes, Colonel.
cut the transmission.
You cut the transmission. I believe that is what you would call good news and bad news, Captain. They will no doubt follow the order, but then they will try to verify it. What that means is that they are on the wrong side of the coup.
Noted.
We should make for the wormhole.
You shall make for my ready room, but you shall make for the conference room, where you will brief my senior staff.
Yes. Before I do so, might I visit your medical bay? It will make my account easier to understand.
Are you injured, Lashar?
Perhaps you could have me escorted to my quarters instead, and then to your conference room.
Talandra summons her security gang, and basically hands over to Zal. She exchanges a look with Zal, which is completely neutral and expresses no emotion, but Talandra looks very done.
There is a small gesture of the eyebrows that goes, "Okay, get it," but nothing is spoken. And I will follow out my orders.
Captain,
Lashar.
You might, in the time it's going to take me to go to my quarters and back, want to rethink having this conversation in front of anyone at all. It might damage your career and indeed endanger your fine personnel. I would think about that rather seriously if I were you.
I shall take that under advisement, Lashar. She doesn't say that quite as nastily as I said it. I shall take
That was very nasty.
I shall take that under advisement, Lashar, and see you shortly. And swishes back to the bridge to sort the ship out.
Yeah, you get lots of damage reports. Just, how are we looking? We're not looking great, are we? No, we're not looking great.
We're looking absolutely terrible.
Yep, me.
Not looking great. In aggregate, overall, slightly
I
better than the
assume
Valdor.
the Romulan the Deridex fucked off.
They're
Perhaps we can see.
you can see them going. You can see them on their way. Yeah, they don't recloak, but they do move off.
The Deridex is withdrawing. Also, what happened to them? Did they destroy the Valdor, or did they just shoot at the Valdor?
You're not sure.
Okay, no, okay.
Good to know.
There was a shot. It didn't hit us. I'm calling it a win.
That's not my concern. Yeah, that's all. The Deridex is moving out. I have no idea what's happened to that Valdor.
Let us put as much distance as we can between it while we fix this vessel.
The trip to Lashar's quarters isn't a long one. She pops in for a minute or two and then returns.
She returns. I get the blip from the security team. I think what Talandra is going to do and say is rise from the captain's chair, look at Lieutenant Strange, again, completely neutrally, with no seriousness of expression whatsoever, and say, as far as I'm concerned, Lieutenant Strange, the ship is yours. Do what you can to repair the shields and sensors. Work whatever magic is available to the engineers of Starfleet.
Aye, Captain.
Lieutenant Vance with me.
Vance will kind of make sure as he follows that he does stop by Adam and give him a bit of a shoulder clasp and squeeze. Boy needs a hug, but it's not hugging time.
It's not hugging time, but yeah.
It's a manful
very
shoulder
clearly
clasp.
looks like he could do with a hug because his boyfriend's fucked. His
His
ship's
ship's fucked. And it's all
again, in much the same way of ascending priority.
I was going to say, we both know that's not the way around that Adam's looking.
The love of my life
that's
is
ascending priority.
My love of my life has been, horribly blown up. And Casey's
And also
hurt
Casey.
too.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Casey's not his problem. Casey's been taken to Dr. Light and is in the hands of Starfleet Medical and all is well.
Yeah, he's got to see the engineer who engineers people better. I have to engineer the ship better now.
But yeah, Vance gives him a manful shoulder clasp of reassurance.
There's a kind of a nod of thanks as he then kind of and then goes back to sending out engineers to go and fix the things.
Talandra is going to turn on her way in towards the ready room and say, if at any point during this process you have found my conduct regarding Lashar objectionable, you are of course welcome to lodge a formal complaint, Lieutenant Vance. But as it stands at the moment, if extending a modicum of trust towards her puts this ship in even slightly less danger, I intend to take it. We cannot stand another engagement of that magnitude.
I understand that, Commander, and I can't even pretend to know exactly what the right thing is to do. I objected to her wanting us to send away Romulans who just saved our asses.
Given the situation as I am led to believe it, it is slightly more complicated than that, Lieutenant.
I understand. Which is why I tend to take things a step at a time, and my step was, they saved our asses, and she is a liar. I'm backing your play on this, Commander.
It seems that in handling duplicity on Romulus, We must navigate quite a web of lies, Lieutenant. And she'll turn towards the door. and engage ready room.
You enter your ready room. Lashar is sitting, is lounging back on one of the sofas with one leg propped up on the other. Captain.
Lashar.
She stands. Do you have a tricord, Captain? She presents you with a data chip. She offers some suggestions on how to configure your tricorder to read it correctly. Your tricorder initially rejects reading it. It is a highly encrypted Romulan identification chip, and it returns a result. Talandra looks up to Lashar with raised eyebrows. The music swells, and just before the ad break, she closes the tricorder and says, "Well, good to meet you, Praetor." And we cut to break.
Gosh.
Finally, my evil scheme to replicate a plot from Hornblower is revealed. Except that was a Napoleon. So yeah, we'll go for a break. Call it 9:30 now. We'll be back in about quarter an hour, about 9:45, and we'll go and see how Captain Athan is doing.
Nicking emails.
Captain Athan, come pick us up.
Nicking emails and gaslighting former presidents.
Yes. That's what I do on my holidays.
Yeah. See you then. Doing the story of Captain Athan's very good time at Starbase Shinty-Squeven, where she's having a less intense adventure, but potentially an adventure with galactic scale consequences. So, you know.
I've lost my pen.
I've lost my pen, but it's the pen with the data I need to stop the bomb going off that will blow up the galaxy. So, you know. Yes. Captain Athan is mean to interns. She was lovely to the intern. The intern got fired for separate reasons.
Yes, but it wasn't exactly an unforeseeable outcome.
It wasn't not Athan's fault.
Yes, I think that's a better way. God, I had a plan and I don't know what that plan was. So I guess I'm just going to make it up as I go along.
So just to sort of cover the kind of the.
Remember, it was bluff. I was going to bluff him.
To cover the fake suspense part of it, some time passes and Foster reveals that, from the station's security scans, it looks like that there was a signal sent out from a location on the station corresponding with Jaresh-Inyo's quarters, corresponding with the time, the rough time that you'd specified, and that it was a weak enough signal that it looks like it can't have been. It might have been to a ship docked at the station, but it can't have gone far.
Okay.
And although it cannot be decrypted without getting a hold of one or both of the devices in question, Jaresh-Inyo might not know that.
Yeah, he probably is. It's heavily encrypted. Oh, good. My communique is heavily encrypted.
Pretty much, yeah. He sees the little padlock symbol and goes, "Oh, HTTPS is good enough for me." Gets on with his life.
Okay, yeah. I guess I'm gonna go see him.
The stream isn't sponsored by Iron Brew. I just want to drink. Okay, so it'd be great if Iron Brew is sponsored. That'd be amazing. You go and see him. So I guess you're probably trying to catch him between engagements.
Yes, I don't want to do this publicly.
You
in the queue for lunch.
In the queue for lunch.
Flip his tray on the floor.
Jaresh-Inyo!
Suddenly bullying Jaresh-Inyo rather than interrogating.
It's quite easily bullied. So I think he's probably he's probably reading some report or other over a largely untouched dinner. Ah, Captain.
Mr. President, do you mind if I join you?
Certainly, please. Share.
I hope you've been doing well. I hope work has been proceeding well enough.
Yes, yes, we're coming to a consensus. At least, I think we should be able to make our recommendations soon. Yes, very productive.
I admit I am rather apprehensive that we're going to find Starfleet and the Diplomatic Corps giving conflicting advice to the Presidium.
Well, yes, it does seem as though we're having a hard time persuading the Diplomatic Corps, but we'll find a way around that, I'm sure. The Federation is founded on the principle that reasoned disagreement can be a productive exercise.
Of course it can. Of course it can. And obviously, I'm sure that the executive is perfectly capable of threading that needle. But it does concern me of the appearances of it, especially with the ongoing debates, etc., regarding the treaty and its interpretations. Honestly, Mr. President, with this potential conflict and head-to-head of the Diplomatic Corps and Starfleet, I was wondering if there was anything I can help you with. I understand that you've been very determined in your defense of the Protectorate, which I understand why that's happened, even if I'm not fully convinced. But because of that, as I say, I want to know if there's anything I can do to help you.
Well, that's very kind of you, Captain. I don't know. You say you're not entirely convinced, so I suppose I couldn't ask you to have a quick word with Admiral Markievicz and just ask him to stand down.
I fear not, but I also understand that you are currently in a very difficult position, Mr. President, all things considered.
Am I? I don't think so. I hope not.
So I would... Honestly, I think I would be considerably happier if I could... I suppose I'd be happier if I could forget the things that I know, but I would generally be happier if anything could be resolved just by a simple conversation. Just as I have no desire to put the executive in the difficult position of having to contend with conflicting advice, I would hate to do anything to bring the office of the executive, past or present, into disrepute. And certain matters have come to my attention, sir, of some of your communiques.
My communications, all of my communications are, aside from being intensely private, completely legitimate. I certainly hope you're not accusing me of something, Captain.
I would very much like to not, sir. Unfortunately, I am aware of the communications exchanged at X timestamp.
I see.
I'm aware that following these, you took a stance which I do not believe you agreed with, sir, in your support for the Protectorate. And as I say, I would very much want to know what I can do to help you.
I've changed my mind. Who have you been talking to?
So the security and safety of this station was my responsibility before any of this started, to oversee the conference.
I've done nothing to compromise the security of this station.
No, sir, but it does mean I have been paying the most astute attention.
If you're saying you've detected some sort of outgoing communications from my quarters, well, that's perfectly explicable. I imagine a great many of the diplomats have communications channels that they must keep open at all times.
Private, separate communications.
Yes, well, this
device, an array, sir. So
I
would rather not. So I think you know what I'm speaking.
If I did indeed have such a device, it is not against the law for me to do so, though perhaps it might bypass some very specific regulations, but I assure you it's not to a sinister purpose.
It's not to a sinister purpose, sir. We both know that these have led to influencing advice that you may be giving to the Presidium.
I know nothing of the kind, of course. I am perfectly capable of coming to my own conclusions. I was president of the Federation for 8 years. I was perfectly capable of coming to my own conclusions then. More or less. Well, with advice, I don't mean I was bullheaded. I mean, I came to conclusions with advice.
Yes, sir. And as a man of your word and as a man of your oath, I understand that you must give the best advice for the Federation and follow the best interests of the Federation.
Yes.
And I know this of you, sir, which is why I have come to you for this as a conversation before anything needs to go anywhere else.
But what do you mean anywhere else? This is beginning to sound distinctly like a threat, Captain.
Sir, I don't want this to be a threat. I want to follow my duty.
And I can assure you that regardless of what may not, regardless, let me begin again. I assure you, Captain, that regardless of your views on the legitimacy of my communications, all of the actions I'm taking are entirely in the interests of the Federation. Entirely. I may not be a politician any longer. I may not have a role in the governance of the Federation, but I took that role seriously then, and I take the office that I occupied very seriously now, and I would not take any action that damaged it or compromised it in any way.
That is good to hear, sir. Then I'm sure and very confident that you will do the right thing.
Yes, and I am.
This is why I want to come to you to offer help, sir. I apologize if it has seemed as if I'm casting aspersions. I am attempting, sir, to, as I say, offer some courteous support through the situation in which you find yourself.
Yes, I understand. Yes, it's difficult. It's difficult to know what to do. Advice from all quarters, you know, conflicting advice. Conflicting advice. You know, there is always you're in command of a starship. I believe.
Yes.
Well, then you know that there is a difference between what one's orders might be, what one's protocols might be, and what one's instincts are, and sometimes judgment has to be made one way or the other, and it can be difficult to go against instinct, but sometimes those who claim to know better do. Sometimes the orders are best just best taken, even if you think it's a mistake.
Truthfully, sir, my experience as a Starfleet captain, both in matters of life and death and matters of diplomacy, and as we both know, the latter is considerably more dangerous, has been to make the choices I can live with, sir.
Yes. Yes, I suppose the trouble is How do you know which one you can? You see, you can't walk both roads at once, Captain. You know, you can't. Mistakes can't be rectified once they're made, you know. And we all make them.
Of course we do, sir. I do not believe that greatness lies in never making mistakes. Greatness lies in how we navigate the consequences and how we bear ourselves through the consequences.
I don't like the idea of a major diplomatic partner being susceptible to this kind of change of government, you know. And I don't like this kind of change of government. It is not that I am a supporter of the Protectorate. I am a supporter of peace with the Federation. And I see that as best served by upholding the will of another nation's democratically appointed government. Though I do acknowledge that the slip of the tongue, the previous government was upholding its duty as far as our new alliance was concerned. But we know when you ascend to a high office, and if you're ever lucky enough to join the Admiralty, you'll see for yourself, and you join high office, you accrue a lot of authority, but you attract authority. You see, you attract advisors, you attract attention. And you see, the mistakes you make as an ensign, and the mistakes you make as an admiral, and the mistakes you make as a president, you see, they're on a different scale. You see, if you're an ensign, you see, and you're up for promotion, you fail a test or you make some mistake, you're denied a promotion. Starfleet isn't damaged by that mistake. The dignity of Starfleet is not called into question. But you see, when you're a senior politician, it's not just you see, it's the office itself. And as president, you see, it's not just about myself or the office of the presidency, it's about the Federation. And as I say, it's very difficult to know what to do.
It is, however, from everything I've seen, I cannot believe that those supporting the Protectorate have the best interests of the principles of the Federation at heart. And decisions made in violation of those principles, however pragmatic and safe, those are rotten foundations, sir. And I believe you, sir, are in a prime position as a former president to be an exemplar of those principles.
Yes. I was president during a difficult time, as you know, and I was president during a time when the very survival of the Federation had become a question, which it had not been for a very long time. Even in our most violent conflicts with the Klingon Empire, the question of the Federation's continued existence did not present itself as it did when we faced the Founders, when we faced the Dominion. San Francisco was bombed. Beta Z fell to the enemy. You see, that is a rather difficult thing to forget.
It is, sir, but now we must rebuild, and that will take more than simply rebuilding worlds, infrastructure.
No, what I mean is that no, one is still accountable for the things one did.
We can't change that, sir. We can only change what we do here and now.
You see,
the past will always try to haunt us, sir.
Yes. It can be wielded like a cudgel.
Sir, I fought in the Dominion War. I understand on the small scale, and thus I believe I can imagine something to the grand scale, the ways in which one has had to make perilous, untenable, horrendous choices. But we have to heal, sir, from what we did and what came before.
War presents these challenges, and these challenges demand difficult solutions. And I made mistakes, and I try to, it's not really. So, how much do you know?
So?
The truth is, I am in a difficult position, a position I would rather not be in, and it's forcing me to take actions that my instincts tell me are wrong. But I have competing instincts. To preserve my dignity, I should retire. I should disappear from public life and write a memoir. And I should very much like to do that. But to preserve the dignity of the nation I served and of the office I occupied, I find myself obliged, if you catch my meaning, to continue my work, even if I were not inclined to. And that obligation carries with it very specific directives, such as, for example, making recommendations to the Presidium that may not necessarily be what I feel are right.
Sir, I'm not going to judge you for the past, and I'm not going to judge you for wanting to make the best decision to not bring the officers of the Federation into disrepute. But, sir, I feel a mistake. If there is a mistake in our past, it is that we valued the cogs and mechanisms of our infrastructures more than we valued, as I have said, the principles behind them. Sir, if you were to retire with dignity, you would not be allowing a dishonor to stain the Federation. The truth is something which, when known, we can only heal from the truth once it is known. And it is hiding it that is the affront. Or rather, it is allowing yourself to be led by the past that is the affront to the office.
But you see, there is only so much that they can do to me. And yes, if I retire, I might endure some humiliation, but it's not as though I'm standing for office again. It's not as though I'll be... It's just... galactic peace. Have we not seen recently? It's such a fragile thing. And I appreciate what you're saying. I understand that. But there is such a thing as knowing too much. There is such a thing as a harmful truth.
Yes.
If the truth were wielded as a weapon, if the past were used, you see, there are those whose interests are not in the continuing of peace, that are not in the continuing of the Federation's interests. And you see, they...
Sir, I know that you have the power to help bring those people to light, and the knowledge to help bring those people to light. That...
I could not do that.
What is the cost, sir?
Do you know, I am not... I don't know who they are, Captain. But they've made implications. And well, the entire time I was president, we had shapeshifters infiltrating Earth. Every day of my life in office, I knew that I was a poorly performed security sweep away from being assassinated and replaced. I've lived a life where I'm being personally threatened. But
the only way these things end is if someone takes a stand, sir.
Yes, I was never really... I wasn't really a wartime president.
No, sir, but you were the president of the United Federation of Planets. And that has meaning for you, for billions of people. And these small individuals in the dark with their knives, they cannot destroy that. But they will hack at our roots and leave us weaker.
We will be so much worse off if the Federation recognizes the Protectorate.
Yes, we will, sir.
And I know that. But you see, I worry that we will be much worse off if I am instrumental in this not doing. But I have to trust, I suppose, that the Federation can weather a galactic war, and therefore perhaps can weather... As far as I know, President Keaton is beyond reproach. Gosh, I hope the Federation hasn't been named in a previous adventure. I suppose I was 2 presidents ago.
And that was 2 presidents ago, Mr. President. It cannot dictate the present and the future, sir. We cannot live in the shadow of the war forever, sir. You cannot live in the shadow of the war forever.
No, but I would be asking you to live in the shadow of what... I would be asking you to live in the shadow of my presidency.
Sir, I am a joined trill of decades upon decades of life, and there will be many centuries more. There are many things that I know and that I will know, which will pass into nothing but dust to everyone around me.
Yes. And in the end, I suppose I'll have to look back and ask if I was the president who made mistakes and owned up to them, or if I allowed.
You can't change your mistakes, sir, but you can change what you do now.
Yes. And the next crisis that looms, they will present themselves with another demand, and the next one, and the next one.
Yes, sir. So I ask you again, Mr. President, what can I do to help?
Nothing. Or rather, you already have.
Yes, sir.
This is the access key to my quarters. I suggest if you're going to retrieve the communications device, you do so quickly.
Yes, sir. Good day, Mr. President.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, sir. I leave weird cow George W. Bush to his sad dinner.
His poor, a doomed cowman eating a sad, cold dinner.
And I'm gonna go steal the communications from the Section 31 have been catfishing him or whatever the fuck's going on.
Savage, that poor man.
So I was trying to think, what exactly is it? But I've realized something, you see. I'm not going to decide what it is. It's not, I'm a guest GM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the Federation now has the aspect compromised president. The president is a foreign asset of some kind, and I'm going to let you four decide what that means.
Oh, I assumed that Jaresh-Inyo was the one who greenlit the genocide of the founders. And that's the thing which could go fucking public.
I mean, that would do it.
He wasn't president by the end, but when the project started, in fact, he was president when they were infected. So
yeah, because they were infected for some reason a couple of years in advance. So yeah, no, so that could well be it. That could well be it. But that's out of my hands.
Yep.
See, I think that the way this goes is that a couple of hours pass. Because I think he doesn't want to put his handlers up to the fact that he's changed his mind and give you time to retrieve the communicator for all the good it'll do. But it's better than not having it. And then I think he expresses a case to the conference that their interpretation of the treaty is wrong, and the continuing committee is the executive authority, and if there were a coup of this kind, as unthinkable as it is in the Federation, we certainly would hope that the actual executive authority of the Federation will be respecting all this. It's a bit of a process because people are going, what the hell is this guy talking about? Like, this is such a reversal of what is going on. But considering that position gets the support of Starfleet Diplomatic Corps, that is eventually the position. And at the end of the conference, Jaresh-Inyo announces his resignation from his post and has decided to go into retirement. He makes no mention of whether or not he'll write an Obama-style memoir about all the drone strikes he ordered, but he goes off into retirement. And Foster, who is never over the moon about anything, is never particularly giddy, gives you a nicely done. Let's hope he was wrong about how much damage it would do. Whatever it is.
The fact remains, I think he was more interested in preserving his own neck than anything else, and thus I have to be dubious at the idea. It suited him to believe it was indeed absolutely terrible for the Federation, because then he could convince himself that his self-interest and the interests of the Federation were the same thing. I'm not dismissing it on those grounds, but it makes me cautious.
I suspect you're right. I suspect that if he were really concerned about the lasting impact of his actions, he might have been more thoughtful prior to committing them. But then again, I've never stood for elected office, so I don't know. Either way, Admiral Markievicz is delighted. And the diplomatic contingent is starting to pack. So we'll be getting out soon.
Good.
So, have we put you off a career in the diplomatic?
This and the conference have both made me rather eager to return to my ship for a time.
Well, the big wigs in the diplomatic corps and the Federation Foreign Service will hear from me nothing but praise for you.
Thank you, sir.
But I'll make sure no one tries to rush you into a promotion or anything.
There's a lot of time left, sir.
Absolutely. Well, personally, you have my thanks. It is a difficult thing to engage in hostile diplomacy against the Federation government, for want of a better phrase. But Jaresh-Inyo was right about one thing. There are things about the Federation that we must preserve. And,
yes.
I think we've done the right thing. Now
I have no doubt of that, sir.
Hope that the Romulan fleet can deal with their internal dispute and leave us out of it.
I suppose that's what this was all about.
And to think you could have been having a relaxing time on your ship. Smash cut to... smash cut to the captain's ready room.
Praetor Lashar.
Talora, please.
Praetor Talora.
Yes, Captain. I'm certain that is not a comfortable revelation, certainly not for me. I would rather have avoided it, but you've made that impossible.
Perhaps then, since the revelation has begun, we use it as a jumping off point for future honesty. And you tell me what I need to know.
I've told you what you need to know. We need to pass through the wormhole and rendezvous with the warbird Deldarax, where the rest of my government waits for me.
I suggest you start from the beginning, Praetor, and tell us what is going on.
Before I do that, I'm going to have to ask you to excise from any of your logs the fact that I was on board your ship.
We really need to stop doing that to our logs.
See, I don't mind. It's just because I'm in disguise, from a treaty point of view, technically, this would be espionage. And I'm not a spy.
Then I assure you, Praetor, I shall take under consideration your lack of espionage when I make my report. But I will only be able to do so once I know what is going on.
We received word that a hardline faction in the Senate had allied themselves with the Tal Shiar and certain rogue elements of the Admiralty. And we knew that they would try to seize power. We made arrangements to ensure that we were not on Romulus when this took place. Unfortunately, the Tal Shiar being the Tal Shiar, they made a few counter moves, managed to divert my attention. Fortunately, I had a few contingencies in place. I knew that I could rendezvous with the fleet and resume my praetorship. However, en route to rendezvousing with the scout ship that I was meant to meet here, I presume has been destroyed, I was caught without backup. The Berenike appeared, and I was trying to persuade Captain Redan to approach the anomaly, which he already seemed to be in the process of doing, though perhaps less cautiously than he might have done. I'm afraid you are stuck between a rock and a hard place, Captain. The truth is, your choice is taking a chance with the Gravitic Shoal or facing 1.5 warbirds.
Therefore, if I am led to believe it, those two warbirds are on opposing sides of an ongoing conflict.
Those ships out there are on precisely the same side of the conflict, Captain. You are meant to think, however, that who was that? Ayala. That the Nyrix is opposing the Valdor. That is quite untrue. Theatre, you understand.
And why did one respond to the security in command and the other didn't?
As to that, I have no idea. But the wrong one responded, I'm afraid.
But they're both on the same side.
The Nyrix responded to a Tal Shiar command code, which means that the Nyrix is taking orders from the Tal Shiar, which means the Nyrix is not on the right side of the coup.
Talandra makes absolutely no expression that she used a Tal Shiar code, but she does not look at Lieutenant Vance, who doesn't know the full story of it. Yes. Well. If I understand it correctly, we are in a situation where allegedly Romulan dissidents boarded a Federation vessel and murdered the crew aboard whilst in... Remind me, the shoal is neutral space, not Federation space?
Oh, I thought it was our space.
It is unclaimed space. It's not in the neutral zone. Neither of you are in the wrong place by being
No,
here.
that's why I was trying to say neutral space, not... was in unaligned space.
Yes. A very serious affront to the relations between our peoples, which I will prosecute to the fullest extent of my ability as soon as I am able to, Captain. I cannot do so from here, disguised as a Vulcan. which of course I am not. Why would I be disguised as a Vulcan? That would be espionage.
Nevertheless, where were you going?
To the Serathan system, to rendezvous with the Romulan fleet.
When you almost crashed into our ship.
No, I'd lost control of my ship. We've established this. I was.
I
not
didn't know
in...
she. Sorry, I didn't know she'd confessed.
Oh no!
She told us a lot of shit in the past.
She's contradicted herself so much. That was an
I'm
in-character
so
thing.
So
You're not confused.
I was about to jump
lied.
in, I see, with Vance as challenging that, to be fair. Like,
No, she has lied a lot. No, I had lost control. I was caught in a control. I am unfortunately not as proficient a pilot as you appear to be, Captain.
so in the entirety of this entire system, you actually accidentally almost rammed our ship.
No, not at well. I accidentally rammed your ship, but it's not as unlikely as you think. After leaving,
Pretty unlikely.
No, after leaving the Berenike's shuttle bay, I did not make it particularly far. When I detected on sensors that there was what appeared to be a Federation transponder signal, I assumed it was the Berenike. But by the time I approached, I'd gotten caught on the shoal and lost control of my engines. I wasn't trying to dive into your ship in some sort of misguided suicide attack. That would not see me back in government on Romulus, would it?
I think there are a lot of options other than suicide attack, Praetor.
Well, I may not be a Vulcan, but that ship certainly is a Vulcan civilian transport. It is not well equipped for, well, except it does have a photonic explosive device wired into its main power system. Sorry.
I assumed Talandra knew that.
I think Vance told her at some point in the tellings.
You do not have long before they verify that that code I gave you is obsolete. And when they realize that, they will return for the attack, and I do not believe your ship can withstand that.
No, indeed. During which time, therefore, you will be escorted back to your quarters where you shall make a statement verifying what you have told me. In the meantime, the command staff of the ship will make a decision.
I do not believe I shall, no.
Praetor, going forward from this, whether or not we decide to support you in this endeavour, as an ally of the Federation, it is important that we have a record of what you have told us. If it is true that these are rebel dissidents that mean the Federation harm, then if we do this favour for you, you owe us at least the information that we need to keep our ships safe.
Safe from what? I've given you the information you need to keep your ship from being destroyed within the next hour.
Quite so.
And that will have to suffice.
Will it?
I should think so.
Then you may return to your quarters and sit in silence, Praetor.
If you insist.
You know where to reach me if you have anything more to say.
Yes. I think you might be best placed keeping on your bridge, Captain.
That as may be.
Spite. She grins from ear to ear.
Praetor, I am incapable of spite.
Captain, we both know that Vulcans are as motivated by spite as my own people. Whether you admit that when you look yourself in the eye in the mirror is another thing. But I shall return to my quarters, Captain, if it will give you satisfaction.
I will only be satisfied once this ship is safe, Praetor. If you have information that you think will be of use as to why your presence is better served on the bridge than in quarters, then not for the first time today, I ask you to tell me.
Yeah, if we don't want to get blown up, you should probably concise, short, sharp input.
Wormhole. Now.
Honestly, that is an improvement, man.
Yes, I think, Lieutenant, you might remember that my life is in as much danger as yours is just now, but my career is in nowhere near as much danger as yours will be if I word my report slightly differently. Captain, if you have no further need of me, I should like to return to my quarters.
Praetor, do you have reason to believe that we will not be able to reach the wormhole without your assistance?
Did you recover any data modules from the Berenike?
Did we?
Wouldn't have helped. They would have been destroyed or wiped. Captain Redan might remember that. Captain Redan might remember how to retrace the signal, but I'm not sure. You have to approach it a certain way, you see, and the Iskandar is already a much larger craft than the aperture of the wormhole is designed for. Do Federation vessels possess a black box? A flight recorder, a secure flight recorder?
Yes, as standard.
If you were able to recover the Berenikes, I would probably suggest within the next hour or so. It might have the telemetry you require to resume the Berenike's course. Beyond that, the specifics, you can take the navigation logs from my own ship, compare them against the trajectory the Berenike was on, and plot your own course. I will provide you with all the access codes you need to do that. But I do suggest you act quickly, because when those warships return, they will be interested very much in repeating their actions that they performed on the Berenike.
That is our...
These Romulans, Captain, are the bad Romulans.
Indeed. I suggest, therefore, Praetor, that you and your security staff report to engineering, where you may be of some assistance.
Engineering?
Report to an engineer. I give her name. I don't know. I'm not just throwing strangers' name around. I'm like...
If you will send one of your engineers to meet me in the shuttle bay, I will assist them with extracting the data from my ship. It should not be a complicated process. I suggest you speak with Captain Redan. Poor man, I had assumed that he'd died. I'm very glad he did not. Please, of course without naming me, give him my regards, please. He was very good to me. And I wish that his crew had not. I wish he had made it to the wormhole.
There will be time for such sentiments when we are safe, Praetor. Talandra indicates her out.
Perhaps not even then. Are you escorting me, Lieutenant, or am I to be escorted by a minion? I enjoy our time together.
Vance does look at Talandra.
Talandra quirks her eyebrow in the very unique way that is, if you wish.
She's going to disappear up a Jeffrey's tube and just never be found.
Me.
No, she might be murdered down a Jeffrey's tube but never be found. Vance will go with her.
Yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference in how Praetor Talora walks than how random Pilgrim Lashar walks. She is walking. She's walking as though you're her Praetorian guard, sort of head held high, slightly ahead of you in this really weird Romulan way, where her legs are uncannily long. And Talandra's like, fucking Romulans, they have this walk. When they left Vulcan centuries ago, they took the secret of the walk, and they never taught us the walk. We got the logic, they got the walk. That's how the divorce went.
Yeah, well, we got Vulcan in the divorce, and Vulcan's much better than Romulus.
Vulcan's a shithole.
Shut up! You're a shithole! I hate her!
Romulus isn't much better, I don't think, canonically. I'm not. Plus, the Romulans have a whole slave moon.
Yeah.
So,
we don't.
No,
We're more enlightened. Yeah.
I think both sides see that as a win, though.
But also, Izzy, what that means is that ancient Vulcans arrived on Romulus and enslaved the population of its.
Shut up.
Because they weren't Romulans when they did that. They were just Vulcans.
You're just Vulcans. Shut up.
Actually, canon's imprecise on whether or not the Remans are just another weird fucking offshoot of Vulcans. So who knows?
That's true. Because was it?
Nope, don't know.
Nope.
Completely undecided, unexplained.
Nevertheless,
Wasn't it
as is the culture of her people, Talandra takes a second and a half to take a long breath because she is not bothered by the Romulan. She is not bothered by the Romulan.
Yeah, Vulcans are never bothered by the Romulan. They have no baggage there at all. It's all fine. It's kind of annoying how they split off, adopted a deviant philosophy, and have completely thrived.
No, it isn't annoying. It's fine. It isn't annoying. I'm fine. Go away.
Yeah. So yeah, she's true to her word. She's entirely helpful. True to her words.
True to her word is entirely helpful. Are neither descriptors of this NPC since we've met.
She is henceforth. She henceforth precisely serves the agenda of sustaining her own life through the continued existence of the Starship Iskandar. There we go.
She does the thing that in the last conversation we had, she said she'd do. Like, I'll fucking take it.
She, as far as you know, no, she does. She does. Yeah. Funnily enough, strangely enough, the security teams have been unable to find this photonic device. She might have been lying about the explosive. But why would she lie about the explosive? But why can't they find the explosive? It's very strange. Turns out her shuttle is just a refit quantum torpedo. She just flies it around.
Vance is just dealing with all of this in a very much a what the fuck ever air. It's doing his blood pressure vast amounts of good. Of why isn't there Romulans?
He's standing by the button that just lowers the force field in the shuttle bay. Just eject her into space if she gives him lip. She doesn't give him lip, she gives him eyebrow. This is the same Romulan that flirted with Shinzon, so she's got no shame whatsoever.
We all would.
Yeah, I think she's the Romulan who received the line, "You are not a woman, you are a Romulan."
Great line. Great line.
Great line. She's a Romulan. That's the full word they use. So, Captain, you're on the bridge. What do you do?
I get a progress report from my engineer.
Cool. I'm gonna say it's strange, just because.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I meant strange. I was just being.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm more just referring to earlier when you said I'll just said an engineer. No, Strange is gonna go and do the plot thing because that's how this works.
Strange. Let's start with an engineering roll for the repairs.
Okay. Do I get any bonuses from the ship?
No.
Cool.
This is just a skill roll.
Just a flat roll. In that case, that's a 2.
This is with your engineering skill.
This is with my engineering skill. Yep.
Okay, fine. So, you can spend that. Oh, what did I just do? I'm such an idiot. Okay, so you can spend that to downgrade a damage. So you could turn that moderate damage into a minor damage, or you could spend it to remove your hull stress. Both of your hull stress marks.
Okay. Can I not do anything with that major?
No, because you'd have to. Essentially, it's like you'd have to clear the slot below it. You see.
Right. Okay.
No, Casey. Active sensors. Oh no.
In that case, I'll downgrade the forward shields down problem 2.
Okay.
We've got them, but they're kind of borked.
Yeah, I'll say weak forward shields.
That's a more concise way to write what I said.
Borked is that? I don't think borked is the actual word used in the report. And Talan's like, I didn't know what that meant when I started my assignment on this ship. Now it's the only word I can think of. Yeah, so that's fine. You've got your repair teams off sorting that out.
Mm-hmm.
What else would you like to do? Is there anything else you'd like to engineer?
Well, unless there's anything else that I can do to deal with the repairs whilst these conversations are happening.
No, I think they're sort of ongoing. Like, I think that with enough time, we'll do another roll and
Yeah.
hopefully get that major at least down to a moderate.
Yeah. In that case, if we've not hit the point where another roll would happen whilst all the other things have been happening, then I guess it's off to Secret Romulan's shuttle to go and see if. What was it she said we could be doing? It's getting the navigation, her navigation logs compared against the trajectory for the Berenike.
Yeah, she knows the exact coordinates of the wormhole. But of course, you have to plot a very particular course to navigate through the shoal, and
So it's using her navigation data to plot our way through the shoal, given that our sensor is down.
Yeah. I'm going to say you are probably able to retrieve the Berenike's flight recorder with a bit of judicious beaming.
What do you mean judicious beaming?
I mean, rather than sending a shuttle crew to go and retrieve it, but what you have to do.
Right. Yeah, Stranger's not going to take the chance of sending folk over to the Berenike because there's warbirds out there.
Yeah, there's at least one warbird, and I mean, there's
1.5 warbirds out there.
The problem is, so now
that's 1.5 too many.
Your sensor array, of course, is down, but you're able to perform a sensor sweep with one of the shuttle's sensors, so you can keep an eye on those sorts of things. Kind of weird how shuttles seem to be completely independent starships, so they have their own systems. I just assume they're not as powerful as Iskandar.
Yeah, that's what I'd assume. But even with that, Stranger's still not going to take the chance of
no.
Berenike, because then we might have to go pick him up in the Iskandar.
No, you're
which is a
right.
terrible plan. So no, we're just going to use what we've got here.
Yeah, I think probably Captain Redan needs to broadcast the Berenike's prefix code or something, because I assume if you try to beam a black box away, it self-destructs mid-transport because you don't want your black box being beamed away. But I think with a prefix code, it shuts that down and all that.
Right.
Izzy's gone. She might have her Bluetooth earphones in. I'm not sure. No, okay. Casey. Casey, you feel awful. You are awakened with the familiar hiss of a hypospray. Familiar hiss, like a sort of hypospray addict. It's the propellant. You just love that stuff. You awaken in a good deal of pain. And you see the soft glow of Dr. Light monitoring your bio bed, and one of the medical technicians, you can hear their voice very swimmingly confirming that you're awake. Lieutenant.
Doctor, what's the current status of
No, stay lying down.
Okay.
We're in one piece, as far as I know.
And the warbirds?
I'm not entirely certain. I'm sure the fight is over, since I'm no longer receiving injured crew members, but I've not heard anything else about warbirds. This is a second-degree plasma burn.
I can't say I've ever had one of those before.
No.
I'm not enjoying it.
No, I'm afraid you won't. You've been burned quite badly, Lieutenant. But the good news is it's only a second-degree burn, and you still have all of your organs.
Good.
Just a bit of doctor humour. Now, it's a bit of doctor humour. You actually are missing several. I'm afraid you're going to be out of commission for a few days. second-degree plasma burns resist dermal regeneration. We have to take these things slowly, or the entirety of your torso will be scar tissue. I'm afraid you will not enjoy that very much at all.
Very well. What duties can I perform remotely?
Absolutely none. Sorry, to be very clear, I'm not doubting your capability, Lieutenant. I'm giving you orders. You are off duty until I deem you fit. But if you want to keep busy, we could always play some competitive 3D Sudoku. I warn you, I have a positronic brain.
That does actually sound quite fun, though.
Good. Well, there's not much more I can do for you. How's the pain?
Middling. Less than it was.
Would you describe it more as sharp tingling or very intense itching?
Closer to tingling.
Closer to tingling. Well, that means the dermal regenerator is working. That means you don't have too many deadened nerves. That's very good news, although it may not feel very good. I'm afraid I can't anesthetize you just yet. We need to make sure there's no nerve damage, and I'm afraid you're the best indicator of that. But
okay.
Assuming all goes well, I think we'll be able to find you something to ensure a good night's sleep.
That will be most welcome, I think. Thank you.
I've just got to do a little bit of last-minute triage. I'll set up that 3D Sudoku board.
Thank you. I hope we don't get blown up anytime soon, but at least I'm going to have 3D Sudoku.
I know that I am not in this session, but I haven't said recently how much I love Dr. Light. Just putting that out there into the world. You know, Adina, I really love Dr. Light. I don't say it enough. I hope the ship's doing well.
I'm sure it's fine.
More Rosé?
Help me kill more
Yeah,
terrorists!
I've just finished mine.
Yeah, excellent. So, Captain Talandra, to be clear.
Oh, me? Yes, I was like, what? Who?
The warbird has not withdrawn any further.
No, of course it hasn't. I think in the process of whatever's going on, Talandra will have attempted to Does Vance make contact with her at all? Or is he just letting her get on?
He'll probably return to the bridge after, he's not gonna he'll return to the bridge afterwards and be around, but that's...
She hasn't left. She has in fact left the captain's ready room and gone into the first officer's office to sort of be...
To set up camp. She's colonized a portion of the ship. A box fort from the crates in the cargo bay.
No, it's just she wants to think in her office.
Vance is not going, and also Vance definitely wouldn't think to... She wouldn't do anything illogical like that. She's a Vulcan.
I realize I'm just staring at my screen. I'm going to express my
It's
brain.
Compellovision.
Shush. I'm going to... This is all a Talandra face journey, which is difficult because she's a Vulcan, but it's a very well-directed episode and they get it just right. In this situation, we either trust the Praetor or we don't.
Because to be fair, she also might not be the Praetor.
No. Yeah. But, she had a chip that claimed she was the Praetor, and that would be a faff to make up...
Can't just get those anywhere.
No, but that would be a faff to lie about on the fly, which means that either she is a Praetor or she's playing a long con of being a Praetor. Either way, once a lie goes on for long enough, it's practically true on Romulus.
Wow. Burn. Sorry, Casey.
Either way, don't try. No, I've already thrown myself off. So yeah, we either trust her or we don't. If we trust her, then she wants us to go through a wormhole, which will take us to the Romulan fleet, where they'll go, thank you for finding our lost Praetor. Sorry about the rebels. Let's drop you off nice and safe on the border. Say no more. which is great. That would be superb. It means we don't get into a fight, means we effectively maintain our positive relationship with the Romulans that we have so far, and broadly speaking, come away from it as unscathed as we can be, except for the 13 dead aboard the Iskandar and almost the entire crew of the Berenike, which is not great overall. If we trust the Praetor, but we're wrong, anything could happen. But it's probably bad, or at least different to what we want. But if we don't trust the Praetor, our option is what? We run away?
But in a different direction than
But
the
in a
one she
different
reckons.
direction, and we could still be followed by the Valdor and the Warbird, and potentially just picked off on our way out of the shoal.
Particularly without your sensor array.
Particularly without our sensor array, which I imagine, based on the report, is not. That's not a quick 10-minute engineer fix. That's a, if we're lucky, we'll get it done in some days. Yep, all this is told through Talandra looking at relevant things in her office, stopping at her whatever piece of Vulcan accoutrement she has in her working space, and then she will straighten her uniform and step out onto the bridge. And she will look at Lieutenant Vance and say, "We will prepare for the wormhole."
Yes, Commander.
So, you just like with the adaptations you made for the gravitic shoal, there are a couple of things you can and a few things you now can't do to try to adapt. I guess you can't do a science, but you absolutely have scientists. But I'm going to go ahead and guess that Strange is better at engineering than the non-Casey scientists are at sciencing, because Strange is a good engineer. So, I mean, I'd love to hear some technobabble about the adaptations you make for the wormhole. You can't possibly get it wrong. It all depends on the role, but I'd love to hear some wormhole technobabble, because technobabble's great. So, freeform it.
Do remember I have a technobabble generator on Casey's character sheet if you need something to reference.
I don't need
To be
references.
fair, that is pure nonsense.
This is going to be amazing.
Also, that amazing might be too much, but yeah, we're not using generators. We're using brain for this. Okay, so the Iskandar is quite badly damaged still from the encounters with the Warbird. So we haven't got. Let me recap on what's still battered. Shields, sensors, and the hull's kind of fractured as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to pump some extra power into some of the shields, effectively mimicking the kind of, when a section gets blown off, you get the emergency force shields coming down, mimicking that to reinforce the hull. So that the pressures from the wormhole and the changes in stresses from the shifting gravities don't just cause our hull to just crack.
That would be bad.
That would be a bad thing. Let's not do that.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Nobody likes a cracked hull. Meanwhile, we also need to make up for our sensors, because we need to be navigating our way through this wormhole, but our sensors are knackered. So let's jump it back onto what you said before about shuttles. We have our own shuttles. Let's patch our own shuttles into the Iskandar's computers and use them as our sensors, it won't be very good because it is jury-rigged to fuck. But it is using, sensors we have available whilst our own main sensors are down, patching them in. This involves, there's trails of cables across all of the Iskandar's shuttle bays to connect with the shuttle's computers up to our own. But yeah, that's how we're going to compensate for the fact that our own sensors aren't up and running.
Yeah, I like it. To be honest, it occurred to me, do you have like docking ports on the outside of your ship?
Not sure.
Like,
yes, it technically can dock because it docked at Deep Space Nine.
So, like, can't you literally dock a shuttle on the outside of your ship?
No, they don't even need to be the shuttle bay. We could just
as a sensor.
We can glue shuttles to the outside our sensors.
You also this
and a plate of armor.
I feel like
if we don't use the Bagoas, I will riot.
I feel like I'm the James Malloy of remember. There's a whole second starship in your.
We're going to keep that.
Never appeared on screen in 7 years of Voyager.
No, it's very clearly there when you see the underside of Voyager.
We will be better than Voyager.
We will be better than Voyager. However, I'm going to keep the Vagoas to one side for now in case our abrasive shuttles get blown off.
This is not we don't want the Vagoas to be deployed and then immediately killed by Romulans.
Exactly. So let's have the shuttles be the first ablative armor, and then we'll have some nonsense where we glue the Vagoas to the outside of the Iskandar.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I put some ships in your ships. Yeah, it's there.
We're gluing ships to ships.
Yeah. So I like it. It's good. You've essentially got your shuttles as little sensor pods. I think that's really neat. Okay, so fantastic. So do some beat boops. Make me an engineering roll. You, by the way, although
I've done the roll before you.
Oh, did
before
you?
we went. So yeah, it's a 5.
Okay, fantastic. So that's fine. I think that's enough to just say, give you. I mean, it doesn't matter because you're not in combat, but I'll do it anyway. I'll give you the aspect.
Is the aspect going to be, yo dog, I heard you like ships?
Well, it wasn't going to be, but now it has to be. Yo dog. Oh God. Right, so yo dog, I heard you liked ships. So yeah, essentially what that represents is you've jury-rigged a proxy sensor system. You've got some emergency internal shields to compensate for pressure, some subspace pressures against the hull. You've probably done something to do with the warp field. Someone says the word Cochrane's to make sure that essentially you're trying to make sure you're as adapted for the shoal as you possibly can be.
Something warp field manipulation, something.
Yeah, gotta do some warp field stuff. And yeah, I think Talandra, you get a report from Strange. The Iskandar is pretty much as well prepared for this journey as it possibly can be. You don't have a KC. Does someone want to roll at +4? This is for a +2 from actually Talandra.
Hello.
You can roll this because I think you might take a direct interest in making sure this course is plotted correctly. Would I be correct in thinking that?
We all have a direct interest.
No, but I mean as in, and you are also a pilot. So could you make a pilot roll with a +2 from the fact that you have data from both Lashar's ship and the Berenike?
Pilot, did you say?
Pilot, please, unless navigation separate skill, which I see that it is not. Why would it be? That would be really weird.
+2 plus pilot +10.
Jesus of Nazareth. Yes, okay, fine. So you are able to plot a course. Obviously the shoal changes, but that's what you've got, the Yodog array as it's now called, in place. but you're reasonably sure you've got a course that will get you to approach the wormhole. You know that as soon as you start moving, the warbird's probably going to pursue, but you are smaller and faster and more maneuverable than that gigantic citadel. Romulans do build small ships, but their warbirds are gigantic.
The Derodexes are like 2 or 3 times the size of the Enterprise
Of
D.
the Galaxy class,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
absolutely.
Fucking huge.
They are just basically moving space stations that just kind of float around.
Calandra doesn't raise an eyebrow and go, "It's just unseemly to have a ship."
It's unseemly, and they're powered by a black hole you have to shovel coal into. So it's not great, but yeah.
I don't know, black hole you have to shovel coal into sounds like a pretty good engine to me.
That's as fuck.
It actually sounds like cyberpunk. If it was a cyberpunk setting, it would be called the Neo Brunel engine or something, and it would be like, yeah.
Look, it's a great engine until it's not.
Yes, it seems very risky, but then again, you have antimatter in a pod, and that's okay. So I guess we shouldn't throw stones. Do not throw stones at the warp core. If the containment field breaks, you won't live long enough to regret it. So you make your way, and as predicted, the warbird begins to follow you. But it is a much larger ship than the Valdor. And it's got a very sensible commander, and she realizes she can't approach. However, this is a thing that almost never comes up in Star Trek, but this is a capital ship. It has fighters, right? Yeah, I mean, it's got to deploy fighters. The Scimitar had fighters, so I'm going to go with the Deredex class has wings of fighter craft. They're very small. While they can only generate very weak warp fields and are not capable of warp travel, they're not even really capable of impulse travel, if we're being completely honest. They mostly have these ghastly little thruster engines that get them about. If you go to full impulse, this is your dilemma. If you go to full impulse, you can evade these little things forever. They cannot match full impulse speed. However, you will be accruing shoal problems, or risking shoal problems, which of course you'll be mitigating with piloting and engineering roles.
I think in that moment, Talandra, who has once again advanced to that thing that she's doing where she's not quite sitting at the piloting panel, but she stood at the piloting panel, will glance over her shoulder at the engineering panel, and will say, "Can she handle the shoals, Lieutenant Strange?"
She should be able to, as long as these shuttles and the force fields hold. If those start to go, we might have to slow down. But for now, I think we'll be alright at full impulse.
Full impulse, then.
You can see on your Yodog array that the fighters stop their pursuit, and it's actually cost them a bit in the chase because they now have to go and redock with the Deredex class and resume their pursuit. The Deredex class is forced to try to pursue you since it can match your speed. But it doesn't stand a chance. That is not what you're opposing. You're now opposing the shoal. The day I named this ship, what did I call it? The Nyrix. The Nyrix is going to stop pursuing you pretty quickly on. Now it's just you versus the forces of nature. So it's going to be 3 stages, very, very simple. Just going to ask for a roll. Firstly, piloting roll to follow the course based on new telemetry from your shuttles.
Just a regular old piloting roll.
Just your pirating roll.
My pirating roll.
Yeah.
That's +2.
Okay, so there are some moments when you are unexpectedly off course because space has folded in a weird way in a place you're going. But a +2 means that while you do sometimes have to get back on course, you're not at increased risk there. Can I get an engineering roll?
You can. +6.
+6, fantastic. So this is you essentially taking the same telemetry and adapting the warp field to make sure that you're not provoking the shoal or pulling up close on a sandbank. +6, as you know, is an extraordinary result, and your warp field essentially slides off the gravitic ripples. That sounds wrong. Perfectly smoothly. And finally, can I please someone who would like to roll this, please make me an operations roll at +3.
I'll do it. I've got a gold dice.
Yeah. I accept your argument.
That's a 2.
Okay, 2. So that was that a -1 on the
Yeah,
dice?
I rolled a -1.
Okay, so it's still a success. This is for you trying to find and essentially trigger the wormhole, to try and trigger the aperture of the wormhole. It takes a bit of a while. I think it involves a number of steps. Probably the step that's most likely for Tarek to fail is the emitter signal that convinces the little station that opens the aperture that this is a real Romulan signal, honest. And I think you've probably, as part of your preparations, you've probably managed to pump a bit of power into Lashar's communications array to send the signal so it goes up. Yep, cool. Yep.
Also, I wanted to know that Lashar, provided she's with a security detail, is welcome to arrive on the bridge at any point that is dramatically appropriate for her.
Yeah, I
give her that permission.
Yeah, like I think you probably will have notified her when you're on the last approach to the wormhole, because you're expecting there to be some Romulans not too far away from that.
Zal's just trotting after her, like, wait,
god damn it.
I'm not your Praetorian guard, come back.
You fly into the wormhole, which opens up. It's a very strange sort of wormhole. It's not some big dramatic cloud like the Bajor wormhole. It's almost like you can see from your senses that there's a concentrated it's called a gravitic oh god, I forgot the technobabble. God damn it. Anyway, it's called a gravitic something or other. Recursion. It's called a gravitic recursion. And the gravitic recursion, it's essentially just a fancy way of saying, in this part of the shoal, space isn't just folded, it's really, really tightly scrunched. And as soon as Tarek succeeds in emitting the right kind of magic from the deflector array, there is a slightly different star field visible than there was before, in a sort of a strange irregular shape in front of you, almost like there's a three-dimensional blob of a different bit of space copied and pasted into this system. There's no fancy glow, there's no weird special effects. It's just suddenly the stars look different. That is the expected effect, Captain.
Understood. I'm so sorry, I don't know what I'm waiting. Are you waiting for me?
I'm just waiting for you to give the order to it's dramatic to give the order to proceed.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Continue.
The Iskandar flies into this strange starfield, and sort of a moment later, you get reports from your sensors that space and subspace seem to have remembered how to be. And you are certainly out of the shoal. I suggest we stop here, Captain.
Full stop.
Lashar, peculiarly, she's sort of been standing. Well, you know, they've got those weird terminal stations that are non-specific until someone logs in. She's sort of been standing over one of those. She now walks right in front of where the captain's chair is, turns to face the screen, and a Romulan warbird decloaks at that exact moment, right in front of the Iskandar, and that is where we will end the session. This adventure's still going somehow. I think this adventure is going to have quite a bit of epilogue stuff, so there won't be much more Occam's Razor, but then I'd like to get Athan reunited with her first officer next week. So
Talandra just goes, don't leave again.
The Iskandar has arrived in a place, and a Romulan warbird is decloaked.
Actually, I'm aware of the power dynamic in her pose because she stood in front of the captain's chair. Talandra's not in the captain's chair. She's leaning over the piloting console, looking back at this woman like, how dare you?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed she is. There is no one in either of the chairs. Yes, indeed she is. But it was just very smooth. It was a smooth move. As a Romulan politician, as a former senator, she has to go on a year-long intensive smooth moves training. Bear in mind, she is also the woman who literally murdered the entire Romulan Senate at one point. They've since elected her praetor.
Works out fine for her.
Because Romulan politics, like, she has committed mass murder.
It's conveniently blamed Shinzon.
And to the Romulans, they're like, well done.
I mean, when I say she committed mass murder, she left a weird necklace in her place. I guess she pretended she didn't know what it would do. I think she thought it was a communications device. She was simply told to leave it there.
Honestly, it's been a while since I've seen Nemesis, and I didn't give much of a shit about it in the first place.
So yes, that's it for now. Next week will absolutely be the finale because... that's that. And thanks so much for watching. She wasn't a spy. Well, she's a spy. I mean, the thing is, I'd love to say she wasn't a spy. In the very strictest legal definition, she is definitely a spy in that
she was full of shit.
In that she is she is pretending to be a thing she's not in disguise. Outside of her sovereign territory, which by the Treaty of Algeron would definitely constitute spying. But by
not espionage as our beloved captain did.
Yeah, by Romulan standards, she's barely a spy. But by Romulan, she hasn't hacked your computer. You know, she's not done anything unauthorized. The bomb is a bit different, but she did the bomb before she ever met you. You know, so yeah. Yeah, so that's that for now. We'll be back next week with the finale of Occam's Razor, which will be part 5, which is mad because I thought this would be a 3-parter. I always think things are going to be 2 or 3 parts, and they never are. I have a terrible inability to tell how long anything's going to take.
And none of our IKEA furniture works.
What does that mean?
Joking.
I
assemble all the IKEA furniture. I like doing it. It's fun.
No, I don't get the joke. What was the joke?
Like, things are 3 parts, but 5
parts. No, I don't.
Furniture humor. Look, it was weak, but like
it was gentle humor, and I liked it. It was great.
Wrong with a bit of gentle humor at 11:30 of an evening.
It was great. So thank you all so much for watching, and helping us to untangle the mystery of how not to be destroyed in space by just very, very big ships. I think the Valdor class warship might need to be retrofit because it can't stand up against an Intrepid class ship with a heroic crew on board, and Starfleet deploys heroic crews.
To be fair, we do know that an Intrepid class with a heroic crew is probably the most powerful ship in Starfleet.
True. They regularly face up against like a Borg sphere, and they're like, well, this is slightly terrifying.
Whereas like the Enterprise D gets punked by several like random pirates on multiple occasions, which doesn't particularly happen to Voyager. Like the power discrepancy here Intrepids are pretty badass.
And on one occasion, the Enterprise D got murked by itself coming out of actually on several occasions, the Enterprise got murked by itself coming out of some sort of temporal phenomenon. So yeah, the Enterprise D, not great. Then again, the Enterprise D isn't a warship. It's a big people carrier that they send to explore. Should we just get like 800 civilians and send them exploring?
It still should be bigger, tougher, and badder than an Intrepid.
You would hope, wouldn't you?
Girls, you're both pretty.
That's not true. The Enterprise D has many virtues. Pretty is not.
Fine. Face only a mother could love.
Whereas Voyager has very few virtues, but it is quite pretty, I guess. It's a pretty ship. The other day, a friend of mine shared with me a screenshot of a ship class in Star Trek Online, Janeway class. We both threw up quite a bit, but not in my universe. No, thank you. So yes, thank you all for watching. I'll hand over to Praxis Descends, who has love to give to some very beloved people, and Mike Kilburn.
What up? It's your boy Praxis Descends here to deliver you a list of our Patreon patrons. I will remind you. Several things. One, I made a promise to a member of the audience that for the listing of the Patreons, I would take my hat off so you can see how ridiculously big my hair is. So this one's for you, Catherine of Tarragon. Dope name, but now you can all laugh at my cauliflower fucking hair. So thanks, everyone. I will also remind you that next week is the finale of Occam's Razor, wherein I will read helpful facts about all of our patrons.
Oh, yeah.
Therefore, you now have a week between now and then to throw a quid or two our way in order to be listed on the list of helpful facts about our patrons. If you care about such things, that is the thing to do. But apart from that, please get your trash bags or appropriately purple accoutrement ready to give love to these excellent members of the extended trash fam. The Armchair Egyptologist, Ken Poyner, Kiwi Tokoeka, Photosynthetic, Eligos Alexander, Liz Murphy, Michael Kreese, Andre Cherubnin, Joe, Lou Sutcliffe, Socky, Henry Prestige, Caffeine Kitty, Hobbs 138, Nrublik Ekim, Nrublik Ekim, James Malloy, Mike Fielding, Michael Bowman, and of course, everybody's favourite named member of the Trash Fam, the one, the only, the rock, the hard place, Helena Basket. He's the rock and the hard place. I stand by it. It's cool.
Okay.
My favourite, you're pretty bad. Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, please don't look at my hair. And tune in next week to hear helpful facts about all of these people. I'm gonna put my hat on now. Bye.
Yeah, live long and prosper.